You could understand why the outfield was deep with Strawberry hitting. I can't understand why the outfield is this deep with Gary Carter hitting. They're playing deep because they're defending against the Gary Carter of 5 years ago and his reputation, not this year.
As spring training 1988 began, all across the game, memories were still fresh of thrilling finishes the previous fall. Now, in the spring of '88, among the teams relishing a fresh start were the Dodgers. After winning just 73 games each of the past 2 seasons, Tommy Lasorda's club decided they needed a spark.
We introduced a new player to the Dodger organization, Kirk Gibson.
That was exciting. As a Dodger, thinking about Kirk coming to the team, we were looking for help.
Kirk will bring a tremendous amount to our ball club. He brings power, he brings speed, he brings dedication, and he brings a tremendous competitive spirit.
Again, I'm excited to be here. They've proven to me, and I believe that they're committed to restore the winning tradition, and I think we all remember this organization for.
I think the biggest statement he made was the fact that when you're on the field, you're there to play, we're there to win. Nothing else gets in your way of that.
When I step on the field, I may offend some by some of my actions, but I want to be quite honest with you, I don't step on the field to make friends.
He just handled his business on the baseball field. I'm not here trying to make new friends. I'm here to play ball. And because of that, he became a big leader on our ball club.
The eye black incident was quite a day. Kirk was doing his running on the left field line, and when he came back, some fans and players were laughing at him, and there happened to be a black streak on his head, and that set him off.
I know Kirk Gibson wanted to hurt somebody that day. He wasn't a very happy camper, and even though they were playing a game or playing a joke on him, it wasn't very funny to him at the time.
I was already gone, so I don't even know what happened after that. I came back that night to go have dinner, and I run into Mike Scioscia and his wife. Scioscia goes, "Hey, Jess, did you hear about Gibby?" And I go, "What happened?" He goes, "Gibby blew up, man. He went crazy." So I go, "Scioscia, I gotta tell you, I'm the one that put eye black in his forehead." And he went berserk, started laughing. He goes, "Oh man, he's gonna freaking kill you tomorrow."
I just told Jesse, I said, "Jesse, he might kill you. You gotta be careful."
And it really didn't get solved until the next day. Tommy did a great job talking to him, calming him down, bringing him into the clubhouse. Kirk did a great job saying, "I'm not going into that clubhouse with those guys unless they get to hear what's on my mind and what I felt and where are we headed as a team." And that was the beginning of his leadership.
It was an eye-opener because we'd been only in spring training only a short period of time. So it was a big deal. I didn't think it was at the time, but it was a big deal.
We have a tradition of winning. We've got a commitment to our fans to win. You can rest assured that every guy on that team, when we leave spring training, will believe that the Dodgers are going to finish #1.
Everybody comes into spring training saying we're going to win a world championship, but the players know you're coming in to see what you can do and accomplish.
Okay, we got it.
Pitching would also be a big part of the equation. And a big part of the Dodger rotation was 6-year veteran Orel Hershiser, looking to improve on 500 records in '86 and '87.
Some of the other years, maybe we didn't have quite the defense, or maybe we didn't have quite the offense, or maybe I wasn't quite as sharp. There's a lot of components to putting together a magical season.
The New York Mets knew plenty about magical seasons, and they were hungry for another one after a frustrating second-place finish in '87.
Last year was a difficult year, with all the injuries, and you just start getting something going, and then a key player would go down, and it was tough to really get that steamrolling effect through the season.
So the curtain is closing on the New York Mets.
After '86, 87 wasn't our best season. So '88 was kind of like a rebound year for us. We felt like everything's behind us now. Let's get back to where we should have been all along, and that was our mindset going into camp.
Darryl Strawberry's greatness was growing, and after a career-high 39 home runs in '87, the sky looked to be the limit for the straw man.
Straw came into camp that year, wanted to be the best player in the National League, and physically he was at his peak, and then mentally I think he was at his peak.
Once I step between the white lines, it's strictly business. I'm serious about what I have to do, and I'm very dedicated to my work now, and I feel 1988 is going to be one of my stronger years I ever had in my life.
And when the Mets broke camp and headed north to Queens, the left-handed slugger backed up his lofty predictions, crushing 11 home runs in his club's first 41 games.
This ball is out of here. A home run for Darryl Strawberry.
But the pitching staff, headlined by Dwight Gooden, was still the Mets' biggest weapon. And in May of '88, David Cohn joined Doc and Company in the rotation full-time and quickly made an impression.
Having gotten a taste of the rotation the year before in '87, and then starting in the bullpen again in '88, and realizing, you know what, I can start. You know, and that was my goal. I wasn't going to be satisfied just being in relief for the Mets.
And he makes the pitch for the third out, and it's the first major league shutout for David Cohn.
Cohn won his first 7 decisions, helping the club to an ML Best 30-11 start. 2 years after the magic of '86, the mood in New York was unmistakably familiar.
Top of the second inning. This ball hit deep to center field, way back.
Whoa.
It's gone. Goodbye. A tie ball game at 1 as Strawberry gets his first home run of the year.
Probably looking, if he stays healthy, that could be the most valuable player in the National League here in 1988. Darryl Strawberry. He can hurt your back doing that, Darryl. You're too tall to be going down with the low 5. Sammy Perlaza, the third base coach, he's down there for the low 5. Darryl's going to pop those muscles in his lower back.
That is the third year that Darryl Strawberry has had a home run in his first game of the season.
This has to be the longest one, though. Dennis Martinez throwing that curveball. Darryl going down and just smoking that ball.
The jury's out as to his offense, even though he did hit .312 last year. Tidewater deep to left field. Rains back. This ball is out of here. Home run, Kevin Elster. 4-1, New York. Maybe the jury has just returned.
That was a very short jury. Boy, did he hit that ball a long way.
Mercy.
Kevin with 8 home runs last year at Tidewater and his first home run this year. And I want to tell you, that ball was up there about 25 rows deep. There was no doubt about it.
1-2 to Lynn. 4-4 ball game. Well hit to center. Webster's going to go back, way back, and this ball is out of here. Home run, Lynn Dykstra. And the weightlifting has helped already.
Center field home run by Lenny Dykstra with 2 men on base, and the Mets lead it by a score of 7-4. And that is their third home run in this ball game off Dennis Martinez, who did not give up a home run to the Mets last year when he won 4-0. And there's the happy Lenny Dykstra.
And you'll never get on him again.
A monstrous home run to center field. And the Mets go in front by 3. Dykstra with just 10 home runs last year, but a big one here in this first game this year.
Bottom of the 5th inning.
Speaking of home runs, there's a long drive. That ball is out of here. Home run, Darryl Strawberry.
That ball may have hit the lights up there. It may have hit the top of the stadium. I think it did. Darryl slowed down. I can't believe it. That ball hit the top of the stadium.
Oh, he's going to get hurt.
He might get hurt with that swing, but not with that handshake.
It's tough getting down that low when you're 6'6". Oh, boy.
You can get anywhere you want to with that kind of strength.
Boy, as he hammered the ball today, first game of the season for the Mets.
This ball hits the top of the stadium. Now, it didn't hit the orange in the stadium. We think it hit the concrete going around the stadium.
And Kevin McReynolds, it's out of here. Home run, McReynolds.
What's going on here? Is this a circus?
It's unbelievable. Kevin McReynolds going to the bridge. 2 home runs here in the 7th inning. Oh boy, there's a long drive, and that ball's gone. Home run, Kevin McReynolds, his 2nd of the game.
And that breaks a Major League record for home runs by one team on opening day. How about that?
The first day of the '88 season was April 4th. That afternoon, among the pomp and circumstance usually associated with opening day, 4 members of the Dodgers' last World Championship team threw out the ceremonial first ball. Looking back, it was a touch ironic that Steve Garvey, Ron Cey, Dusty Baker, and Reggie Smith would throw out the first pitch. But what might have been even more ironic was what Steve Sax did with the real one.
Sax, it's a high drive into left field, down the line, gone, home run. Boy, you talk about pulling the cork on a bottle of champagne. The first pitch of 1988 by Dave Dravecky, and Steve Sax hits it in the left field seats.
That, however, would be the end of the Dodgers' heroics for the day. Fernando Valenzuela ultimately lost the early lead and then the game as the Giants beat the Dodgers 5-1. The situation, however, improved quickly as the Dodgers won their next 5 games and went on to finish the month of April with a 13-7 record.
Hey, what have we here? Precipitation in Los Angeles? Indeed, for the first time ever, 3 straight games rained out at Dodger Stadium. That may have been a welcome sight last year when the Dodgers were down in the dumps, but not so these days, as Los Angeles opened the season with 12 wins in their first 17 games, and for the first time in 2 years, led the West Division. Tommy Lasorda got some unexpected punch at the plate from Mike Scioscia, who fired up his bat with a .475 average. Quite an about-face for the veteran catcher, and for LA's offense, which finished last in batting last year. As usual, pitching has been solid and steady. Orel Hershiser won his first 4 starts. Seems well on his way to bettering his 16-win total of last year. Hershiser got a little support from the Dodger offense in '87, but he sees all that changing now that LA has a revamped lineup.
Well, I'm excited about the new offense. Of course, I lost 8 one-run ball games last year and 1 2-run ball game. That could turn a whole season around for me personally, but I think anybody who starts with this club, if they play up to the potential of the guys that we've acquired, has a chance of winning 20. But I'm excited about most of the team's outlook because with the new surge of offense we have, and hopefully the defense will be a little more secure, I think we're going to have a better ball club.
There's no doubt that the 1988 Dodgers fully intend to be contenders in the National League West.
Remember, to paraphrase the words of a great general who once said, "We shall return, and so will the Dodgers return." Thank you very much.
Hernandez walking on 4 pitches, and Darryl Strawberry, the batter. Darryl with a run batted in the first with a sacrifice fly, singled in the 5th. It's Rich Lett, and now he's the one of the managers, or I guess you could say one of the managers right now, right in the left of your screen, and he's telling Stansky to hold Wally Backman on at first base because Wally's just pinch hitting or pinch running for Hernandez. Oh, Backman, the runner at first, that's looking for an extra base hit and a run to score all the way from first base. He's 1 to tie here in the bottom of the 10th inning, and it drives to deep right field. It's going, and it's gone. Goodbye. And the Mets win it on Strawberry's 2-run home run in the 10th inning. I don't believe what we've just seen.
Do you?
I am speechless. Darryl Strawberry.
Carly Simon's got a song out that's called "That's What Dreams Are Made Of." And this is.
That'll bring up Pedro Guerrero, who also has not contributed to a run. He has not scored a run or driven in a run in this series. That one snapped his helmet right off his head.
Well, Pete's looking out there at David Cone. And I don't know why David would be throwing at Guerrero in this situation.
Well, he got to pitch hitters tight. He didn't make much
That's
of a
right.
move to get out of the way. That pitch wasn't that far inside.
Besides, Pedro's a type of hitter, and we talked about it on Friday night, that you want to pitch high and tight because of his muscular upper body. And that's a difficult place for pitchers, or rather hitters who have large upper bodies, to swing the bat. And you got a situation here where, as you just said, Ralph, Pedro hadn't done any damage in this series, and
certainly wouldn't want to wake him up.
No, there's no purpose there.
And back inside again, 2 balls, no strikes. Where is Joe McGinty when you need him? He only hit 41 batters in 1 year.
Pedro's staring at David Cone again, and David's staring right back at him.
Well, I'll tell you can't let the hitter intimidate you about pitching inside. I believe the big problem that pitchers have is they get intimidated by some of these big guys. Certainly Dave Winfield is intimidated.
But over in the American League, for the most part, you don't find pitchers pitching inside as much as you do in the National League. Oh, and Pedro
he's got to get suspended.
Through the bat.
He's got to get suspended for that.
Barry Lyons wrestling Pedro away from Cone. That was a breaking ball.
It was a curveball, for crying out loud.
That was a curveball that Pedro really ducked into.
Oh, that is serious, throwing that bat at that pitcher.
Really not much of a fight, as everybody really went out there to keep anything serious from happening, and that's a good thing.
Well, Barry Lyons getting a hold of Guerrero, who really lost his cool, and throwing that bat at Cone, and it was a curveball that hit him on the helmet. It was not a fastball. You don't throw at anybody with a curveball.
Besides, Pedro didn't even go down. I mean, he just sort of had it go plunk off of his helmet.
Into it.
Well, Pete, I don't think you're going to first base, partner. I think you're going to the clubhouse.
Oh, I would believe so.
Coach Joe Ferguson out there to talk to him. Manny Mota helped get him. Here's the breaking ball. Riding in, Guerrero ducks. I think it hit on the shoulder. Now, Guerrero just fires the bat at Cone. Remember, the first 2 fastballs were high and tight, glanced off his shoulder, maybe caught a piece of his helmet, and he felt he was being thrown at, and he just fired it out there. And Barry Lyons tackling him. Look at David. He's about half his size. He's saying, let's go.
David's tough. But I don't believe he's that tough. That Guerrero's really big.
And Lasorda's still saying you got to get Cone out of the game for throwing at Guerrero. That's, I'm sure Tommy's argument is that if Guerrero's out of there, David Cone's got to be out of there. But so far, Cone has not been ejected.
Well,
Tommy may get ejected here.
Tommy argued that Dwight Gooden should have been tossed out of the game for hitting Griffin yesterday. But again, in the situation, it wasn't apparent that it was a knockdown pitch. And that certainly was not an intentional knockdown pitch, as it was a curveball. But then again, the Mets are leading 5-0. They don't want anybody on base. There's no excuse for thinking that it was a knockdown pitch.
Well, you're going to pitch Pedro Guerrero inside. And see, Pete really didn't make an effort to move. He didn't back off. He just sort of ducked and really protected his head with his shoulder.
So he's out of the game. We're going to have a pinch runner for him.
Jeff Hamilton is coming out to run at first base for Guerrero being hit by the pitch. And it'll probably be tomorrow before we know of any action that's going to be taken against Pedro for firing that bat at David Cone.
Here's Kirk Gibson to lead it off in the 9th. 2-1 New York.
Got a tough inning right here ahead of him because you've got Gibson, Guerrero, and Shelby.
Gooden all the way deep to center. Backman or Dykstra back, and this ball is out of here. Home run, Kirk Gibson, 2-2 ball game.
Gibson ties it up with his 9th home run of the year, and he was sitting on this curveball, and Dwight got it up, and he got it up. There it is, breaking ball that's about belled high, and it's belted.
Was it ever? Home run number 9 for Gibson, a 2-2 game now. And boy, he was charged up going around those bases. Of course, he's charged up when he sleeps. Curveball tapped toward third. Guerrero throws out Wilson, and we got extra innings tonight. Well, it's a 2-2 ball game. The top of the 10th inning, the Mets' third extra inning game this year, and here's Ralph Kiner back in for the play-by-play. Ralph?
And I believe, Tim, this is the first time in regular season play that Dwight Gooden has ever gone 10 innings. He went 10 innings against Houston in the playoff games in the National League Championship Series. And I can't recall. He didn't do it this year, so this is the first time he's gone 10 innings.
He has gone 9 innings, 47 times. That was before this year started. And he's done it 5 times this year, so that's 52 times he's gone 9 innings.
Carter calling for the pop-up. Also there is Johnson, and Johnson gets out of the way at the last minute as Carter, who had made the sign early, makes the play. So Socha out on the first pitch. Sharperson hit .324 at Albuquerque in 38 ball games earlier this year before his fall. And look at this, another base hit. So Sharperson 3 for 4 and hitting .750 since coming up from Albuquerque. And a hard ground ball base hit. So Hatcher singles to left. Sharperson turns at second and holds there as McReynolds gets to it and gets it back in. So the Dodgers with runners at first and second. And another base hit. Charging the ball is Mookie. Comes up throwing. Here's the play at the plate. It's up the line and not in time. And the Dodgers take the lead by a score of 3-2.
Jay Howell, his record 2-1, his 15th appearance, picked up from Oakland, and he is going for his 4th save. So with Jay Howell on the mound, Dodgers with a 4-2 lead, and the blue moon that we saw earlier, I guess it's appropriate to say the Dodgers are now howling at the moon.
And another one for ball 4. And the Mets have Mazzilli on and the tying run coming to the plate.
When you're down by more than 1 in the late innings, that's really all you can hope for, to give you a shot. Get the tying run at the plate. And if you're a manager, the worst way to get that tying run to the plate is to walk a guy in front of it.
3-2. Mazzilli does not go. It's ball 4, and that puts the tying run at first base, and the Mets have runners at first and second on 2 walks. And a line drive base hit. Mazzilli will come in to score, going to third, and making it easily as Dykstra, as they made no play there. The throw goes into second, and Backman comes through with a big base hit, his 3rd in the ball game, and the Mets are still alive. Runner goes, hit to the hole, and the tying run scores. Backman goes to third, and Keith Hernandez with a big single has put the Mets back in the ball game. And he hit the ball through the vacated position of the shortstop, who was covering second base, with the runner running on the 3-2 count.
1-2 to Wilson. Swing and a miss. Wilson down on strikes. Two outs here in the 11th.
And his second strikeout, his first was a very big strikeout. Runner at third and 1 out. He struck out Kevin McReynolds and then got Carter to pop up, so the Mets didn't win it there. Now he strikes out Wilson and then brings up Kevin Elster.
Kevin, with 1 at bat, he popped to short in the 10th inning. Deep to left. Gibson back. Out of here! Home run, Kevin Elster! I don't believe it!
tying run at second base with 2 outs in a 3-3 tie. We're in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the ball gets by. Sanovega, here comes Gibson. He's going to keep on coming. They're thrown to the plate. He scores. Dodgers win.
I am a madman at times.
Early in the year, the Dodgers realized there was a lesson to be learned from Gibson's madness.
We believe in ourselves, and we have a little saying about what kind of team we are after the game. We're a very good team, but we say it in locker room language, and you just have to keep affirming to yourselves and both collectively as a team on what exactly you are and what you do stand for, and that's kind of the way I am in the locker room. I will yell out what I call affirmations, affirming true positive beliefs in yourselves and as a team.
Look at those New York Mets, moving and grooving, especially on the mound. Dwight Gooden's 17 wins are reason number 1 for the Mets' best ERA in the majors. Add Ron Darling's 14-9 record, that's only half the reason opposing hitters are in the dumps. Bob Ojeda has 10 wins, an ERA below 3, 5 of the Mets' major league leading 22 shutouts. Also, nothing but choice numbers from sophomore David Cone, who's gone 16-3 while flipping everyone out with the prospect of winning the ERA title.
All of those awards will be for naught unless we make the playoffs. So the most important thing is to win to get us in the playoffs. And then all the accolades and all the awards that come after that will take care of themselves.
Mookie Wilson's been taking care of matters at the top of the order, thanks to a revived bat that's kept him in center field of late. And since August 1st, has produced an average of .340. After all, in this line of work, when you're hot, you can count on playing every day.
A high drive, that might go if it stays fair. It is gone. It hit the screen.
Deep to right field. This has got a chance. Back is Reynolds out of here. Home run, Mookie Wilson.
Of course, Mookie hasn't been the Mets' only standout switch hitter of late. Welcome rookie phenom Greg Jefferies. Called up from the minors in time to qualify for postseason play, Jefferies has posted dazzling numbers. For starters, a .462 average. And for the kid who wasn't supposed to have much power, 14 extra base hits, including 5 homers.
And this ball hit the deep left field. It is going. It is gone. Goodbye. Greg Jefferies with a 2-run home run. And what a start.
Tuesday, they handed the ball to David Cone, the man with the league's leading ERA, in hopes of fending off the Phils and setting up Wednesday as a night to cement their spot atop the standings. And thus, baseball is going to the heads of the fans at Shea. Bottom of the 4th, Mets up 1-0 when Kevin McReynolds, who has gotten in a groove in September, hits a shot off Shane Rawley. His 25th homer of the year, a solo job. It's 2-0 Mets. Top of the 5th, the Phils coming back after the curtain call. Ron Jones, who would later homer, hits this iffy Texas leaguer that drops in. Steve Jeltz scores and ties it at 2. Bottom of the 6th, 2 outs. Man on second. They're not going to let McReynolds do it again. Rawley walks him intentionally. 2 on for Darryl Strawberry. Lefty against lefty. And Rawley was overmatched. Strawberry hits a Mount Rushmore shot off the scoreboard, his 35th of the season. And you talk about Mr. Baseball Head, get a load of this on the curtain call in front of the packed house. Strawberry's in the mid-90s now in home runs, and Cone goes the distance, his 6th straight win, lowering his league-leading ERA to 2.17. Mets have won 6 straight, their magic number down to 2.
Randy Myers, as usual, taking the stomping trip after each pitch. Ground ball. Johnson. Backman. Double play. Mets win it and reduce the magic number to 1. New York can do nothing about the game that's going on in St. Louis, where Pittsburgh leads St. Louis 2-0 in the top of the 8th inning. But they have reduced the magic number to 1 at least, regardless of the outcome, as they win tonight 4-3. Sid Fernandez the winner, and Randy Myers his 24th save.
One fan summed up the feelings of many Mets supporters on the way to Shea Stadium with a homemade get-well card for pitcher Bobby Ojeda. Ojeda severed the top part of his left index finger while working on his garden with an electric hedge cutter. Rushed to Manhattan's St. Luke's Roosevelt Hospital with his hand packed in ice. Surgery on the left-hander was performed at the Hand Surgery Center, a world-renowned facility at the hospital.
Of course, everybody was devastated by that news. The news did get better as the day progressed. Dr. Eaton has reattached the finger.
A number of baseball players, including Ron Darling, Darryl Strawberry, and even Ojeda himself, who's been here before, have been operated on at St. Luke's Roosevelt Medical Center. Dr. James Parks, a team physician and orthopedic surgeon, said the prospects for Ojeda pitching again were good.
I don't know of any other pitcher who has had this particular type of injury with this type of instrument that was used and cut him. But I would say this, that the other parts of the finger are quite good. And my feeling is that this position he's in, with the other joints working well, I think it's going to enable him to pitch.
Mets players say the news of Ojeda's accident was a blow to them during these crucial final games.
You know, it's a devastating blow to all of us. I mean, he means a lot to this ball club, not only on the field, but off the field. And we just hope for a speedy recovery for him.
Ojeda will have to watch these final games of the season and possibly the playoffs in the World Series while recovering from his hand surgery. But doctors say there's an excellent chance he'll be back next year to help contribute, hopefully, to another winning season. At Shea Stadium, Robert Kilmartin for the News at 10.
And a quick update, Pittsburgh now leads St. Louis 5-0 in the ninth. As the Mets move toward the playoffs, the loss of Ojeda means new strategy for manager Davey Johnson. Ojeda was a major factor in the Mets' march for the '86 title. After losing Game 1 of the playoffs in Houston, Ojeda took Game 2, shutting down the Astros in the Dome. The script read much the same for the World Series. The Mets lost the first 2 at home, and then Ojeda was handed the ball in Game 3.
In a situation like this, it's something that there's no getting around it. It's my day to pitch. Hopefully we can all pull together as a unit.
Ojeda answered the call, handcuffing the boys from Boston and getting the Mets back in the hunt to eventually win the title.
Pretzels here, hot and fresh.
They entered Shea Stadium knowing they could leave here tonight and have to wait for news of a clinch. Security was hopeful the fans would be home before that news came. It was beefed up, but not as much as 1986. It was just 2 years ago the Mets clinched and went on to win the World Series. It was time for comparisons.
I think '86 was hungrier, but I think this team is more experienced and a little more mature than they were in '86.
I think the Mets are better this year than in '86 due to the pitching with Cone. They have a secure spot with Cone.
One of the stars of the '86 team says it's unfair to compare that team to this one.
There's no way you can do that at this particular time. I mean, that was a phenomenal team, and we just dominated the whole year with 108 victories. And you know, we're going to have over 90 victories this year and all, but it's just not fair to make an analogy right now on that.
Well, tell these fans that they're not as good as the '86 team. They don't. I don't even think they know the score of the Pittsburgh game. They don't care. They'll be back here tomorrow night.
Everybody here at Shea on their feet. The champagne is about to flow in the Mets clubhouse. Stay with us. We'll cover the festivities. Alf Kiner and Tim McCarver down in the clubhouse. Ooh! 1 and 2. Carter wanted it.
Look at the players. They're all on the edge. They're ready to jump out, too.
A lot of them have been through it before.
He gave it to him.
Strike 3, ball game over. New York Mets win the National League Eastern Division crown the second time in 3 years. Listen to this place.
For a baseball player, September can either be the best month or the worst. It depends on where you are in the standings. I've had some pretty rough Septembers in my career, but this one was different. Not only did I have a division clinch to look forward to, I also had a chance to be part of baseball history. What Orel did at the end of the year was really unbelievable. I know it's something I'll never forget.
What Orel Hershiser did in September of 1988 is something history won't soon forget.
Every pitcher wants to win 20. And Hershiser, with the count 1-2 and 2 out, sets and delivers strike 3, and he's done it.
But Orel wasn't satisfied with his first 20-win season. He kept on winning, and he kept on throwing shutout after shutout. Orel Hershiser wins his 21st, no runs, 6 hits, and 1 error for the Braves.
Hershiser is 1 out away from having a 40-inning consecutive scoreless streak. Here's the pitch. Popped up. This should be it. Socha throws away the mask in foul ground off to the right of the plate. He's got it, and Orel Hershiser has his 4th straight shutout, his 7th successive complete game, runs his consecutive scoreless inning string to 40, and lowers the magic number needed for the Dodgers to clinch the National League West to 4.
With the streak now at 40 consecutive innings, people were becoming well aware of what lay ahead. The Major League record of 58 straight scoreless innings held by former Dodger great Don Drysdale. On the night of September 23rd, Hershiser got 9 innings closer to Drysdale when he shut out the Giants in San Francisco. The streak was now at 49, but before Orel would even get a chance at Drysdale's record, the Dodgers had a little matter of a Western Division title to take care of. That came in San Diego on September 26th. Already in the 3-2 pitch to Marvell Wynn, swung on a fly ball to right field. Stack backing out and calling. He's got it.
Nothing feels better than reaching for the top. Once you get started, you ain't never gonna wanna stop.
Back live at Dodger Stadium, I'm not sure the full magnitude of a feat accomplished in September can be truly appreciated for probably a number of reasons. The National Football League had opened its season. The pennant races were not compelling, and a lot of people were paying attention to the Olympics, and a lot of what took place at night on the West Coast and was reduced to the small type in Eastern newspapers. But what Orel Hershiser did in September was amazing. 56. A revered number in baseball, synonymous with Yankee slugger Joe DiMaggio, who in 1941 hit safely in 56 consecutive games, a record considered by many the toughest to break. 58, another magical number in baseball. In 1968, Don Drysdale pitched 58 consecutive scoreless innings, a feat that seemed to be unbreakable and even unapproachable. Orel Hershiser was 9 years old in 1968 when Drysdale set his record. 20 years later, Hershiser is pitching for the Los Angeles Dodgers. And 20 years later, Don Drysdale is broadcasting for the Dodgers and watched Hershiser challenge his record last Wednesday.
So 2 outs in the 7th, and Hershiser 1 out away from putting 56 scoreless innings in the book. Hershiser sets and delivers, and a bouncer up the middle. Griffin takes him right to the bag, steps on second. The side is retired, and Hershiser has 56 innings in the book.
Orel tied the mark 2 innings later, and the streak continued into the bottom of the 10th.
The 10th inning started with, again, a standing ovation from the San Diego crowd, which was outstanding. And then it really went downhill from there because Marvell Wynn, I struck him out on a curveball, and the ball bounced over Socha's head, and I've got a man on first, and I'm thinking, oh, no, I've got to really bear down now because I'm going to give him 4 outs.
Hershiser ready, and the 1-2 pitch is swung on, a fly ball to right.
Gonzalez backs up. He's got it, and Hershiser has the record.
This is his night. I just want to reiterate my congratulations to a great guy. They call him the Bulldog here, and I think all of you have been able to witness that and see why. And at least we kept it in the family. That's the big thing.
I didn't really know about Don Drysdale until I became a Dodger. But since I've become a Dodger, Fernando has always been compared to Koufax in that era. And now that I've come along behind Fernando, I've always been compared to Drysdale. And so it's Drysdale, Koufax, Hershiser, Valenzuela, and for me to even get close to the record was just an honor, because to be up there with those names of Hubble and Drysdale and Gibson and Walter Johnson, it was just, they asked me, what's your name going to be like at the top of those record books? And I said, long.
And now live at Dodger Stadium, here is Don Drysdale. Don, try to put into words what it feels like to be an athlete getting into a zone that nobody's been to before.
Well, Al, you know, it's amazing. You get out there, and really the concentration that you're thinking about, you really don't know if you're in a spring training ballpark where there's 500, 5,000, or 50,000 or anything like that. You get out there, and it's just your mind keeps working in the right direction. And all of a sudden, when you start getting yourself into a mental frame of mind, it becomes then a physical aspect of pitching. And of course, as we have talked about many times, once you get that fine line and that fine group, you can throw the ball, I'd say 9 times out of 10, and maybe more so, exactly where you want it.
How did you feel when that string was finally snapped?
Well, it didn't really, I was happy for him. First of all, Orel is really a good kid. And, you know, I think it's every professional's dream, as far as a baseball player is concerned, Al, is to get to the Hall of Fame. I'm sure it helped me get to the Hall of Fame. It was sitting on the shelf for 20 years getting dusty. And if it can help Orel and his family like it helped mine, hey, go get it.
Great seeing you again, Winder. Thank you. So, we are set for Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, and there is Hershiser warming up to face Dwight Gooden. Back in L.A., time to meet the starting lineups, and for that, let's go to the public address announcer at Dodger Stadium, Nick Nixon.
And now let's welcome tonight's starting lineup for the Eastern Division champion, New York Mets. Manager Davey Johnson. Leading off, number 1 center fielder Mookie Wilson. Batting second, number 9 third baseman Greg Jeffries. Batting third, number 17 first baseman Keith Hernandez. Batting fourth, number 18, right fielder, Darryl Strawberry. Batting fifth, number 22, left fielder, Kevin McReynolds. Batting sixth, number 20, shortstop, Howard Johnson. Batting seventh, number 8, catcher Gary Carter. Batting eighth, number 6, second baseman Wally Backman. Warming up at the Mets bullpen and batting ninth, number 16, pitcher Doc Gooden. And now the starting lineup of your Western Division champion, Los Angeles Dodgers. Manager Tommy Lasorda. Leading off, number 3, second baseman Steve Sachs. Batting second, number 22, first baseman Franklin Stubbs. Batting third, number 23, left fielder, Kirk Gibson. Batting fourth, number 5, right fielder, Mike Marshall. Batting fifth, number 31, center fielder, John Shelby. Batting sixth, number 14, catcher, Mike Sosha. Batting seventh, number 33, third baseman, Jeff Hamilton. Batting eighth, number 7, shortstop, Alfredo Griffin. And warming up with the Dodgers bullpen and batting ninth, number 55, pitcher Orel Hershiser. Ladies and gentlemen, we direct your attention to the home plate area. Tonight's colors will be presented by representatives of the Army, Navy, Air Force, and Marines. To honor America, please rise for our national anthem, to be performed this evening by world-renowned opera star Placido Domingo.
Game one coming up back at Dodger Stadium after this word from your local station. And so it is time to get it going from Los Angeles. The meeting going on right now at home plate prior to game one of the National League Championship Series on a gorgeous day, twilight in Los Angeles with temperatures in the mid-70s. The New York Mets, the Los Angeles Dodgers. Al Michaels with Tim McCarver and Jim Palmer. 4 victories for a pennant. That's what these teams are looking for. It's the 20th League Championship Series since baseball split into divisional play in 1969. It's the first time the Mets have faced the Los Angeles Dodgers. And Tim, obviously, postseason baseball is different than regular season baseball. How so in the playoffs, in your estimation?
Well, I'll tell you one thing. The only thing thicker than the early morning fog here in Los Angeles is the tension in the air. And believe me, it is bountiful tonight. And I'll tell you why. I think it's the numbers of the season, the numbers of games in the season compared to the numbers of games during the playoff. 162 games played during the season. 4 games have to be won during the playoffs, and that teetering, frail bridge that crosses over to the World Series is what one of the 2 teams, either the Dodgers or the Mets, have to cross. And I think because you have to win 4 games, the players have to take almost a football mentality, and baseball's not like that. It's more of a leisurely pace. And I think the very fact that you have to win 4 out of 7, the players having to take this football mentality. If you have a bad week during the season, you say get them next week. If you have a bad week during the playoffs, forget it.
That's the great thing about it. Every pitch, every at-bat is magnified. Let me turn to Jim Palmer and talk about the fact people always wonder how did the 2 teams match up during the regular season. Well, the Mets bombed the Dodgers. They won 10 out of 11. The players publicly like to say that doesn't mean anything. Does it?
Well, I think it does, and I think that's why Steve Sachs came up to me, who's the second baseman for the Dodgers, and said, do you think we have a chance? You know, we got beat 10 out of 11. Well, the way they did it, I think, put a lot of doubt in the Dodgers' mind. If you look at the Mets, they can beat you 3 ways. They can beat you with their offense. They led the National League in runs scored. They can beat you with their pitching, the best pitching team in the National League, and they made the least amount of errors. I look at the Dodgers, and I look at the month of September. They only hit .205, the lowest batting average of any team in the major leagues. So really what it comes down to, Al, is Orel Hershiser. He said this is an attitude adjustment game. He said, change our attitude, let us know that we can beat the Mets, and let them know that they can be beaten. Very important game, and it goes back to really '86 playoff. I think they don't, I'm talking about the Mets, they don't want to see Hershiser 3 times, so they better win in 6 if they're going to win.
And they figure to if the series goes 7. So here we go. Game 1 from Los Angeles coming right up. A real nice gesture moments ago. Fernando Valenzuela is not eligible for the playoffs. He's not on the 24-man postseason roster. He's had shoulder problems, pitched twice in September, but the Dodgers brought him out to throw out the ceremonial first pitch tonight. A man who has meant so much to the recent success of the Dodgers through the 1980s. Now the lineup tonight for the New York Mets in this first of the best of 7 league championship series. Mookie Wilson to lead off, and then the young phenom Jeffries batting second. Hernandez at first base. Keith coming back from his hamstring problem. Darryl Strawberry is in right field. Kevin McReynolds, the unsung one, in left. Howard Johnson moves to shortstop tonight, and Gary Carter does the catching, batting 7th. Wally Backman is the second baseman. And Dwight Gooden is on the mound, and he loves being on the mound here in Los Angeles. So does that man, Orel Hershiser, who figures to have wrapped up the Cy Young Award. He and Danny Jackson were neck and neck going down the stretch, with David Cone figuring 3rd in the balloting, and then Hershiser probably wrapped it up with his 59 consecutive scoreless innings. And again, in postseason this year, we will go to our inside pitch, and to find out about Orel Hershiser, let's go to Mike Schmidt of the Philadelphia Phillies.
Orel Hershiser's best asset for me is his hard curveball. I've seen Orel throw it as many as 4 or 5 times in a row to certain hitters, me being one of them. He also throws a very hard sinking fastball, which he uses to get ahead of hitters. We call it a heavy ball. He throws a very heavy ball. He breaks a lot of bats. Orel has a great feel for the game. He loves to pitch. He's great at moving around on the mound. He holds runners on well, and he's a good hitter. Possibly the Cy Young Award winner this year.
Other than that, not much.
Yeah, it hasn't given up a run in 2 months, so we can take some literary license. The last time he was scored on was back on August 30th.
Back of Hershiser tonight for the Dodgers. In the outfield, we'll keep an eye on Kirk Gibson, who's bothered with that hamstring problem. Shelby and Marshall round out the outfield. Hamilton at third, Griffin at short, Sachs at second, Stubbs at first. Scioscia back of the plate, and Hershiser on the mound to face Mookie Wilson, then Jeffries and Hernandez. Wilson has taken over as the Mets' everyday center field for the better part of the last 3 years. He and Lenny Dykstra have been platooning, But they put Mookie into the lineup here when the Mets visited in late August, and he has stayed there. In for a strike, and we're underway. Wilson, one of 4 switch hitters in the Mets lineup tonight, and they also have 2 pure left-handed batters. He lines it to right, but right to Marshall. 1 out. 6 umpires work the league championship series, 2 down the lines, and the alignment tonight back of the plate is the veteran Harry Wendelstedt. John McSherry is at first, Cowboy Joe West at second, Dutch Rennert is at third, Bob Davidson is down the line in left field, and Paul Runge is down the line in right. So 1 out with the bases empty, and Greg Jeffries comes up, the young phenom called up just prior to the end of August. And he racks one into right field for a base hit. And so if you're wondering about nerves, the 21-year-old in the minors until 5 weeks ago, he answers that question summarily.
In his first 13 games, he batted well over 400, and in his last 16 games, he's batted only 163. And on the first pitch, Jeffries wastes no time. The fastball down and in, a picture-perfect swing. The youngest player ever in the league championship series.
So he's at first, and he can run. In his brief stint with the Mets, he stole 5 bases, and here's Keith Hernandez. His numbers are down, and of course that has a lot to do with the fact that he was hurt. He missed a lot of time on the disabled list, which is uncommon as far as Hernandez is concerned, and he's had a little problem with his timing. 1-0, and they had to work him judiciously down the stretch to get him ready for this.
Well, mainly because when he did come back the first time, he re-injured that hamstring. He said what's so tough about Hershiser is the velocity and the movement on the fastball. Not only does it have good velocity, about up to 90 miles per hour, it goes down. It's a tough pitch to lay off at the knees.
That's a strike, and the count is 1-1. A lot is made about games in the twilight. It's a little different this time of year because nobody is really looking into the sun. As you can see, were this the middle of July, there's a little strip of sun in right field for the moment, but that will be out of there in another 4 or 5 minutes. But it's not like a game in the middle of July by any stretch. 2-1.
Sun doesn't seem to be as glary. Of course, Manny Mota, the batting instructor with the Dodgers, said he was worried mainly because of Gooden. Tremendous fastball, tremendous curveball. You don't pick up the spin, and of course the key to me of a good curveball is the tight spin. You don't recognize it as early.
Ideal hit and run situation here. Hernandez loves this count. And for that reason, Jeffries at first base. Hershiser has 5 pickoffs on the year. He's got an excellent move. Only 13 runners have run against him. So I wouldn't be a bit surprised. I think you negate the pitch out with a count 2 balls and a strike. So I think Davey Johnson's going to put the hit and run on this pitch.
And this time he stays, and it's low. Ball 3-1. Strawberry waits on deck.
Because probably why he didn't run is because one of Hernandez's great strength is really just swinging his strikes, and it looks like Hershiser a little bit of trouble with his control. So you don't want you don't want Hernandez swinging at pitches out of the strike zone.
Jeffries goes, and the pitch is hit foul off to the left, and the count is 3-2.
An ideal situation there. If it's a ball, he's going to take it. Set up to first and second.
3-2 the count. 1 out. Jeffries goes again, and Hernandez fouls it away again. So still 3-2 with 1 out in the first inning. Meanwhile, there is a light on somewhere upstairs.
I think it's in our booth.
Don't say that.
It was just turned off.
It's McCarver's cigar, I think. In any event, whatever the problem was, it's been rectified, and here we go again. 3-2.
Running situation again. See, he almost took off too early. When the counts 3-2 or in hit and run situations, you don't want to get picked off. Often the first base coach will tell you that, and I think Bill Robinson just reminded Greg of that. It's up to the hitter to put the ball in play. It's not your responsibility to steal the base.
And again, Hershiser sends him back.
Hershiser are very hard to run up, and in the league average is something like 62% success rate. So you see those numbers, those are high. Very quick move to the plate.
There he goes, and the pitch is lined and caught by Sachs. Easy double play. After a half, Mets nothing. Dodgers coming up.
Here's Keith Hernandez. Keith had a very good year against the Dodgers. The runner goes, and it's a line drive caught. Easy double play. Throw to first, the inning is over. On a hit and run play, Jeffrey's running. Hernandez hit it hard, but he lined it right to Sachs, the second baseman. Double play, the inning is over.
And Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles, the parking lot is filled. Not much traffic on the freeways. Everybody home watching the game. Sachs to lead off for the Dodgers at second base. Franklin Stubbs hits second, and Kirk Gibson will bat third in left field. Mike Marshall is in right. He's the cleanup hitter. And John Shelby, in his second year with the Dodgers, is the switch-hitting center fielder. Mike Scioscia back of the plate. The third baseman is Jeff Hamilton, who has taken over on an everyday basis. Alfredo Griffin, who came from the A's in the offseason, the shortstop. And there is Hershiser, who set the Mets down in the top of the first inning. And that Dodger lineup will face this man, Dwight Doc Gooden. 18-9, 3.19 ERA. What about Dwight Gooden? Let's get the inside pitch on him from Mike Schmidt.
Doc Gooden, there are no secrets about Doc. He throws 95 miles an hour throughout the whole ball game, from the first inning to the last. He's got a great curveball. It's important that he gets it over early in the count, because in pressure situations now, hitters can hit fastballs no matter how hard they are. I like for him to be able to get that curveball over when he's behind in the count to hitters like Gibson and Marshall. That's going to be a big key. Also, he's not good at holding runners on base. The Dodgers will be able to run on him at will. This could be important if it's a close ball game. Doc's a fair fielder and a pretty good hitter.
And I think one of the key things Mike said is that he's easy to run on, and the Dodgers, I am sure, will try to exploit every opportunity, not only against Gooden, but in this entire series. And here's the perfect man to exploit it, Steve Sachs, who could very much be the key to Dodgers' success. A lot of people talk about Gibson and Marshall, but it may come down to Sachs getting on base.
Yeah, with 42 steals, it's important that he does that.
And he begins with a base hit. And you can almost go to the bank on it. I think the Dodgers will try to send the Mets a very early message here by running right away with Sachs at first base and nobody out, and Stubbs coming up.
Well, great high fastball hitter Steve Sachs, and when he's at his best, he hits the ball the other way, back up the middle or to right field. Ben Hines, the hitting instructor, says he has to not hit around the ball. He has to get his hands out in front. He did. Single to right field.
If what you say is true, Al, then if you're Gary Carter, the way to combat their running a lot is to pitch out early. So if the Dodgers are going to show the Mets that they're going to run a lot, if Carter pitches out, that could thwart the stolen base attempts.
And an interesting situation right off the bat. Stubbs at the plate, and Gooden sends Sachs back to the bag.
Of course, another way is to try to get rid of the ball a little bit more quickly. That is something that Doc Gooden does not do. They tried 67 stolen base attempts against him this year. They were successful 56 times. You can see by that graphic.
Sachs becomes doubling important on the base paths, because another part of the Dodgers' speed would be Kirk Gibson, but you wonder about Gibson and how much he can run in this series with his leg. Gooden has already gone there twice, and Sachs stays as the pitch misses for a ball. 1-0 the count. Stubbs is not your ideal number 2 hitter. The Dodgers are really bereft of a classic number 2 hitter. They've had guys in and out of that spot all season long.
If he could run a little more, Mike Scioscia would be the ideal guy, because he's a contact hitter.
The next pitch is a strike, and the count is 1-1.
So you have Scioscia, who's a contact hitter, batting 6th, and Franklin Stubbs, who doesn't make a lot of contact, but doesn't clog up the bases in front of Gibson. So that's the best choice. So thinks Tommy Lasorda.
Gooden, good move to first base and a close play. Takes the bag right out of its moorings.
Great angle. I don't know if that was Hernandez's glove or Sachs's momentum.
Gooden going to first base for the 4th time in this week sequence. 2-1 the count. Sachs at first base, nobody out, no score, bottom of the 1st inning.
The Dodgers really serve their purpose whether he runs or not. Already Gooden's worrying too much about Sachs.
There he goes. The 2-1 pitch is high. The throw to second, not close.
Well, 2 things. By throwing to first base, your concentration is lacking. You're not worried about the guy with the bat in his hand. It's 3-1 now to a dangerous fastball hitter. And Sachs has stolen second base.
Easily.
Yeah.
And the 3-1 to Stubbs. He tries to bunt his way on and misses. Strike 2, 3-2.
I can understand the intent there to get Sachs to third base, but here's the 3-1 count. You want to hammer that ball. You don't get too many cripples off Doc Gooden, and you want to take advantage of it. You don't want to bunt it. Even though the theory and principle is to get 1 or 2 runs early because Hershiser's been pitching so well.
I would have to think he did that on his own.
Oh, yeah.
3-2 pitch is swung on and missed. So Stubbs strikes out with Sachs at second base, and with 1 out, here comes Kirk Gibson.
Well, we talked about the fastball. Just tails away, and the reason I think Gooden is so overpowering, or can be overpowering, is because of the movement on the fastball, not to mention the velocity. And again, Stubbs, a strikeout hitter, goes for a bad pitch.
You could tell, excuse me, Jim, you could tell how much movement was on that pitch by the way Carter caught it. He caught the ball in the heel of the glove.
Kirk Gibson, who has come to symbolize the Dodger resurgence. Because of the collusion ruling, he was granted his free agency after the Dodgers, you might recall, had made a conditional trade Guerrero for Gibson. Strike. As it turned out, they didn't have to make that deal. Gibson was granted his free agency. They kept Guerrero, signed Gibson, and of course subsequently traded Pedro to St. Louis for John Tudor. And he grounds it to the right side. Backman throws Gibson out, and Sachs goes to third. 2 gone. Sachs at third, and Mike Marshall coming up.
Batting fourth, number 5, right fielder, Mike
Looking
Marshall.
at the batting grip of Kirk Gibson, most hitters get it out in their fingertips, but he's so strong, he gets it up in his hand. Very short stroke. Of course, I think the key question, Al, is how much is that left knee bothering him? He said he's going to throttle down, did not run hard to first base.
Gooden will work from the windup with the runner at third base. He rarely, if ever, works from the stretch.
The pitch is in the dirt, 1-0. Actually, Gibson's injury is a combined knee and hamstring problem.
Well, from what I understand, and I asked him, I said, how are you feeling? And he said, well, who knows? He said, I don't know if it's my hamstring or my knee. But from what I heard, it's a tendon that comes out of the hamstring and goes into the back of his left knee. Probably a little bit easier to treat than a hamstring, but maybe not in just a week.
Marshall hits a broken bat looper into right field for a base hit. 1-0. Well, the Dodgers, even though they have a couple of guys who can hit them out, might have to manufacture runs in a, let's say, Cardinal-type manner of the last couple of years with that single and steal and ground out and 2-out single, and it's 1-0.
Well, if they do it as effectively as the Cardinals did in 1985 and 87, they'll take that. Very unusual that Mike Marshall, using almost a right-handed Stan Musial stance, hitting that ball off the end of the bat, breaking his bat, a broken bat RBI. Hitters will take every one of them.
John Shelby now takes a strike. The Dodgers getting a run. That's pretty much stop the presses stuff. Gooden in his career had allowed only 2 earned runs in 51 innings on this mound. And 51 innings is more than 5 games worth, 5 full games.
He's never lost in this ballpark. He's 4-1 at Dodger Stadium and 8-1 lifetime against the Dodgers.
And Shelby grounds one down to Backman, and Wally throws him out. But in the inning, because of speed, the Dodgers get a run and lead 1-0.
Steve Sachs standing in, facing Dwight Gooden. Line drive, base hit to right field. Sachs leads off the first inning with a base hit to right. Now the doctor is set. The runner goes. The pitch is high. The throw, the slide, stolen base. Sachs has stolen second. Now here is Mike Marshall. Led the Dodgers in RBIs with 82. Had 20 home runs. Looping drive into short right field. It'll drop for a hit. And the Dodgers are in front 1-0. Soft line drive into shallow right field. Clean single by Marshall. Brings home Steve Sachs.
Dodger Stadium in the twilight. First game of the League Championship Series. By the way, tomorrow's game is a night game. I know in some of your local listings it's listed as a day game, but because of the vice presidential debate, the American League starts tomorrow in Boston. The A's and Red Sox at 1 Eastern time, 10 in the morning out here. And we'll be on tomorrow night, better late than never, at 10 o'clock Eastern time and 7 o'clock on the West Coast following the debate. And then it's on to New York for the weekend. Dodgers on top by a score of 1-0 as Darryl Strawberry leads off in the second inning and pops it up a mile high, and Hamilton and Griffin are there, and Hamilton will take care of it on the grass. 1 away. Kevin McReynolds coming to the plate. Dodger Stadium, let's take a look at it. Down the lines it's 330, then 385 to the gaps, 395 to center, and classify a Jim Pitcher's Park or Hitter's Park.
Well, I think it's a little bit more of a hitter's park than it used to be because they moved home plate a little bit closer to the fences. But with this mound, I have to say it's a great pitcher's park, and that's why traditionally every year, year in and year out, they have a great pitching staff.
Kevin McReynolds is at the plate, in for a strike.
That's a great angle to look at the pitcher's mound, and what they've done. This is a legal mound. The height of the mound from the rubber to home plate can only be a 10-inch drop. What they have done is sunk the field. Therefore, the mound has appearances much higher than I don't know what the actual height is. And it's legal, but a great mound to throw off of, which is why I think why Gooden has had such great lifetime stats here, and why Hershiser, going back to 85, 19-3, 11-1 here at Dodger Stadium.
Low to McReynolds, and the count 2-1.
I think when you ask the pitcher what is one of the criteria, of course, of a good mound is the fall. How much does it severely drop?
Good breaking pitch.
Talk about
drop.
Yes, severely dropping. 2-1 curveball. Now you're Kevin McReynolds and you're 2-1, good hitters count. You're looking for a fastball, a pitch you can drive. And look at this curveball. Borderline strike, but I'll tell you what, it tells you the next time you can expect anything at any time.
Got him on a sinker. Strikeout number 1 for Hershiser. And with 2 gone in the second inning, Davey Johnson will send Howard Johnson to the plate.
A lot of times when a hitter strikes out, it's not the pitch on which he strikes out, it's the one that leads up to it. And as Jim said, the 2-1 curveball set up the sinker, and McReynolds goes after a bad ball. It's not the pitch, it's how you got there. And Hershiser and Socha got there beautifully.
Doubt. It sets up doubt.
That's right.
Howard Johnson, he is one of the 4 switch hitters in the lineup and far more proficient as a left-handed batter. Looks at a strike. You saw his mark for the season at 230. Combined as a left-handed batter alone, he hit 250 with 18 homers. But against Hershiser, a lot of problems.
Well, Howard and the rest of the league, but you're matching strengths against strengths, and Hershiser has the ability to throw that curveball anytime, run that sinker away on the outside part of the plate to left-handers, and Howard Johnson is a pull hitter.
He's also a fastball hitter.
Exactly, but it's his strength against Howard Johnson's strength.
Line right into the glove of Franklin Stubbs. With a second inning, like the first, ends on a line drive out. And after 1.5, 1-0 Los Angeles.
The pitcher's mound was dropped from 15 inches above home plate to 10 inches after the 1968 season. And the degree of slope starts 6 inches from the pitching rubber and goes down 1 inch per foot for 6 feet. And the other 4 inches of drop takes place in the last 54 feet, the mound being 64 or 60 feet 6 inches away from home plate.
It seems a lot closer when this guy's on the mound.
And he said that too.
He loves it here, but he trails 1-0 as Scioscia leads off the bottom of the second by lifting one in the air to Mookie Wilson. 1 up and 1 down in the second inning. And that'll bring up Jeff Hamilton.
I think something that Mike Schmidt did not add is that almost every game that we've ever done with Dwight Gooden on the mound, he says hitters are very aware of you have to lay off the high fastball. Right there, Scioscia couldn't do it. Result, fly ball.
Hamilton takes a curve for a strike, and the count is 0-1. Breaking pitch is hammered to deep left field, but McReynolds goes back and makes the catch on the track. 2 down. Hamilton sitting on it, but not getting all of it. And with 2 gone, McReynolds going back to haul it in, and here comes Griffin, crossing himself, and well, he should after what happened on the 21st of May facing Dwight Gooden. He got hit by this pitch, and that did it for 2 months. Broken bone in his right hand, and he was gone from May until the end of July. He has faced Gooden since then. Griffin was back in action, and the Mets came in here in August. And he bluffs a bunt and takes low, ball 1, 1-0. That was a series in which the Dodgers lost Griffin, and then on Sunday, Guerrero threw his bat at David Cone, and they lost him to a suspension and lost the entire series. And the Mets left the Dodgers reeling at that point, 1-1, but they recovered.
And did they?
And they recovered in good measure despite this man's absence because of the play of Dave Anderson, and that's another story right now. Anderson with a chronic bad back, and it's acted up to the point that he's not eligible for this series as Johnson leaps up to make the catch. One shortstop robs the other. 1-0 LA after 2, and we'll be back after this word from your local station.
Enjoy baseball memories throughout the years by ordering your copy of the 1988 World Series souvenir program. Packed with more than 90 pages of features, facts, and photos on the Fall Classic, this program is truly a collector's item. Get your souvenir program by sending a $6 check or money order to World Series Program, Box 88, Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. That's Box 88, Trenton, New Jersey, 08651. Be sure to include your proper return address.
The preceding message was furnished by Major League Baseball.
A beautiful sight from the Goodyear blimp looking into Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. The Dodgers just shy of 3 million this year in attendance, and Bob Ojeda with his left hand encased, and most of you know the story, a hedge trimming accident nearly severing the middle finger of his left. That's his pitching hand. And we wish Bobby all the best in his recovery, and he hopes to be back by spring training.
I think one of Bobby's main concerns now is where to put the wedding band. He's going to be married October 29th, and his ring finger is going to be in a cast.
Carter takes a strike, and the count is 0-1.
It's been that kind of year. 10-13, a great ERA, 288.
Won 3 1-0 ball games. 5 shutouts for Bobby this year.
1-1, and they might miss him in this series because the Dodgers are suspect against left-handers. We're going to see Sid Fernandez in Game 4 on Saturday in New York. We might have seen Ojeda.
26-27 against games that left-handers have started this year.
Little squiver up the line, and even Carter can beat this one out. With a guy like Carter at the plate, your third baseman can play very deep, and if you're going to hit one of those, it's easy.
Gary with that devious smile right there.
Well, he's been struggling all year, and right here he goes out and tries to pull a ball, which is what Hershiser wants him to do, but he wants them to hit it a little bit harder. He's going to appreciate even Carter could beat that out. Those catchers don't like those kind of phrases from broadcasters.
He looked like Flojo touching first base.
His version of Flojo.
Breaking the tape.
He looked more like Hojo touching first base. Here's Backman. No, actually, Hojo is a 30-30 man. We really can't make that comparison.
Flojo to Hojo in 2 days, right?
Absolutely. Low for a ball in the count. 1-0 on Wally Backman. Backman, an interesting case. He starts the season on the bench after platooning with Tim Tuffle the last couple of years. Tuffle wins the job outright, but gets hurt. Backman gets a chance to play. And now Wally back in there, and Wally had a good season at 303, a real good year. And he bunts up the line. Hamilton fields, throws the first just in time. Backman bunting as much for a base hit as to get the man over. He accomplishes the movement of Carter to second and gets credit for the sacrifice as well. One away.
Well, the Mets' best bunter. You can see why right here. I mean, he is bunting for a base hit, but watch him run outside the line. He should have been out even if this throw would hit him. But Hamilton takes care of that with a strong throw. He easily gets him. You have to run inside that 45-foot line. Franklin Stubb, who's 9 errors in the last 23 games, makes a nice play on this ball. Good throw.
Now Dwight Gooden, who can swing the bat. Career average is 181. 2 career home runs. 0-1.
The amazing thing about the entire Met pitching staff is that they don't strike out that much. I mean, batting average is not that good, but he makes contact. When you make contact as a pitcher, you have a chance.
And it's 0-2. Breaking pitch got him.
Another reason why this game is so important, it gives Tommy a little bit more latitude.
Center fielder, Mookie Wilson.
Another look at what Mike Schmidt said, that great curveball. And that's great even to a non-pitcher. But right here, not only does you can see the break, but you can see where the ball is. Mike Scioscia reaches out right on the corner. Quality pitch, great tight spin on a good curveball.
So 2 down as Gooden goes back to the dugout, and the top of the order now Mookie Wilson, who lined out to Marshall and right in the first inning. 1-1 the count.
The danger pitch to Mookie Wilson is the breaking ball down and in. That's his long ball from the left side or from the right side. And Scioscia talking to Hershiser right now. They obviously know that. And I wouldn't think that you're going to get a breaking ball to hit if you're Mookie Wilson. Here's the fastball, and he about throws it by him. Mookie fouling that ball back. Well, look at the action on that pitch.
Also look at the eye contact when Wilson, who's hitting 32 out of the last 36, I mean, right on that ball. But again, the movement will sometimes make you have a good swing but still get it result in a foul ball.
2-1.
It's funny, in this string, Hershiser said, you know, this is not a physical string. It's something that Don Drysdale touched on in the pregame show. He said, this is mental. I get in tough situations. I want to be there, and I can make quality pitches. Certainly did it to Gooden. He's got a real hitter up there now.
And a breaking pitch is whacked into right for a base hit. Marshall comes up with it. They will hold Carter at third as the throw comes in. Well, with a faster base runner, the Mets would have had a run. Perlazo went all the way down the line and took a look at it and figured he'd be better off holding him at third, and it was the right choice.
There's that breaking ball we were talking about, and Mookie hits it hard into right field. And because of that, because he hit it so crisply, Carter's got to stop at third base. No way to challenge anybody with an average arm, and Mike Marshall has a better than average arm as a right fielder.
And also, Wilson, without a lot of power, you're playing a little bit shallower. Also, we can run this, I guess, to the gamut, but with 2 strikes, you're probably going to go on the pitch. With 1 strike, one of the easiest pitches to get picked off on is a curveball that the hitter swings through. So Carter had to make sure he hit it. The result is the score is not tied.
So the Dodgers still ahead 1-0 with 2 on and 2 out now, and Lasorda begins to pace for the first time as Davy Johnson sends Jeffries to the plate. He whacked the first pitch he saw for a base hit to right in the first inning.
And it was a fastball. And I think I asked some of the Mets, I said, you know, here's a guy that was hitting almost 500 after 50 at-bats. What's the difference when he has been struggling lately? They said not a lot of first pitch fastballs. We saw it the first time, the result was a line drive.
Well, the pitchers had to adjust to him because when Jeffries came up, he had 462 in his first 13 games, and then he had 193 over his last 16, and there it is graphically.
Tremendous bat speed. That's what's impressed me. It's the bat head out.
Comeback. And the Mets lead 2. And at the end of 2.5, Dodgers 1, Mets nothing. Few people have been in the type of groove Orel Hershiser is in right now, and he talked about it.
The only groove I really feel I'm in is a very good mental discipline groove, that I know what it takes mentally to get it accomplished on the mound. I don't know that I'm going to go out there and accomplish it, but I know what state of mind I need to be in. I know that I can't allow myself to get too animated out there. I know I got to really bear down and think pitch for pitch. Don't think about results, think about execution. And if I can think about just executing sinkers away, executing curveballs in the dirt, executing the ball up and in to knock a batter down, then I've got I'm putting myself in the best chance to win the game and to get the guys out.
In a groove on the mound. He's not necessarily in a groove at the plate. He had the worst average of his career this year at 129. Up until this season, he'd done very well. It lowered his average under the 200 mark career-wise to 194.
But the important thing is those 19 sacrifice bunts, leading the league or tying for the league along with Rick Russell. And that's part of being a National League pitcher. We've seen him make some nice plays tonight, getting the guy over when you have to, and especially on this type of offense. Not a lot of runs to work with.
And it's 2-1 as he leads off in the bottom of the third, to be followed by Sachs and Stubbs.
It's interesting. He says, I look like a guy that would like to read books. I don't. I look like a guy that got straight A's, and I'm academically ineligible my first year in college. Looks like a wimp, but he says, I think I'm strong for my body composition.
I think he's proven that he is no wimp.
I know that. Now, this is what he said about himself. I'm not calling him a wimp.
Looks like that sinker. Looks like a man of average means, and he's a multimillionaire, or will be soon. How'd you like to have to work his arbitration case?
Well, I think he's looking forward to it.
He's had a couple of battles in recent years with the Dodgers. 3-2 pitches high, so he's on. And obviously the last thing that Dwight Gooden wants to do, walk the leadoff man and the pitcher to Booth.
Take a look. Dwight, of course, is trying to throw it right down the middle. Well, he throws it down the middle, but it just lets it go too high for ball 4. I mean, that's one of those situations. Pitcher after you just try to hit the catcher right in the glove. He wasn't able to do that.
So now Sachs comes to the plate. Johnson looking over his infield alignment. He has to move Jeffries in close at third to protect against the bunt. For the moment, Hernandez is playing back of Hershiser at first base, right behind him. And Sachs up there bluffing a bunt, and then to swing takes a strike. So Sachs gets grazed by a pitch, and Gooden in a jam in the third inning, walking the pitcher and grazing Sachs.
Something you said earlier, you said sometimes how you get there is the important thing. He wants to come inside, and he does. Looks like it grazes his forearm. Wow. Probably go away with a curveball on the next pitch, but unable to do that with Sachs going down to first base.
That's some replay to prove that point. In the NFL, upon further review, yes, he was hit by the pitch. Send him down there.
The Mets do not have the rotation play where the third baseman comes in, but Hernandez cheats so much toward home. It's tough for him to do now because you don't know whether Stubbs is bunting or not.
First and second, and nobody out, and Stubbs up there to bunt. Bunts, foul, and the count is 0-1. And again, he lays one down, but foul again, and the count is 0-2. And the crowd, and they have been on Stubbs because he sort of looks as if he plays in a lackadaisical fashion, gets on his case again. And he's up there to bunt again and takes outside. Isn't that interesting?
I don't understand that. If you're up there with 2 strikes, I mean, here's a second-place hitter, a power hitter. I don't know whether he did it on his own on the 3-1 count the first time up with Sachs at second base.
I just think that sign too.
Yeah, I think that bunt with 2 strikes is a bad play, especially unless it's a pitcher. Got a number 2 hitter with a lot of power.
1-2, he swings away and down he goes. So Stubbs strikes out for the second time. Gooden has 2 strikeouts in both instances, Franklin, and it brings up Kirk Gibson. Gorgeous shot, sunset in Southern California. And a look back into Dodger Stadium, about a mile from downtown Los Angeles. Temperature in the 70s. And all is well in the city of Angels at the moment because their Dodgers lead 1-0 in the third.
Important statistic here, Gibson only 8 times that he grounded a double play. It'll be interesting to see if he hits a ground ball, how he'll run with that bad knee.
1-1. Gibson was hurt a lot down the stretch. They rested him after clinching the division title. Then he tried to play on Friday night and went all out, as he put it, for 6 innings. And then he couldn't play Saturday or Sunday. But he told the reporters yesterday, hey, it's a non-story. I'll be in there. Bank on it. 2-1. Three and 1. Got the corner.
Well, Gibson has struck out 19 times, as you saw, out of 36 at-bats. So I don't imagine with Hershiser at second base, as you see the fastball just get the corner, I don't imagine Tommy Lasorda will send the runners here.
He doesn't, and Gibson strikes out on a breaking pitch, low and in on him.
So Gooden does what Hershiser has done, 3-2. Doesn't matter what the count is. You don't know what's coming. And it appeared that Gibson was, totally full. Looking fastball. Normally in that situation, you try to look for the ball, but it's tough to do that off of Gooden.
So 2 down. You never know with Gibson in the dugout after he strikes out. That's about as mild a reaction as you'll ever see from him. Marshall swings and misses. 0-1.
There are times when you go back to the dugout and you know you've been overmatched. And there's times you go back as a hitter and you say, gee, I should have hit that pitch. I don't think that was one of those cases. It's not like he got a good pitch to hit and missed it.
0-2 on 2 fastballs to Mike Marshall.
Base hit to score the run in the first inning was a fastball out over the plate. So if Marshall, who is a strikeout type of hitter, this year one of the few years under 100 with 97, some years 137 strikeouts, his weakness is up and in. That and the curveball in the dirt, which is something we talked about. High and tight, low and away.
Chased it. Down he goes, and Dwight Gooden strikes out the side in the third. To the fourth we go. 1-0 LA.
First 2 runners on, now 2 down as he has struck out Stubbs and Gibson. And now he faces Mike Marshall, who delivered the RBI single in the first inning. Gooden delivers, swung on and missed, got him with a slider out of the strike zone. He struck out the side. After walking the first batter and hitting the next one, he strikes out Stubbs, Gibson, and Marshall, and the Dodgers are gone.
Looks like a painting, doesn't it? Sunset. And the sun went down on the Dodgers in the bottom of the third inning with runners at first and second and nobody out. And there was Tom Lasorda's reaction to Marshall striking out as Gooden strikes out the side. Stubbs, Gibson, and Marshall.
You're talking about execution, and one of the reasons the Dodgers have been able to win low-scoring games is that they've been able to get runs when they can. We don't look for any of these teams to really blow out the other team with the excellent pitching on either staff.
Keith Hernandez to lead off as we go to the fourth. He'll be followed by Strawberry and McReynolds. Hernandez lined into a double play in the first inning. A run, 2 hits for the Dodgers. No runs, 3 hits for the Mets. Fourth inning underway. Strike. You know, Lasorda did a master psychological job when Hershiser came up. Orel, he's as kind and considerate a fella as you'd ever want to meet, and very religious, and he looked like he was about 12 years old when he was a rookie. And Tommy Lasorda wanted him to be more aggressive, so he gave him the nickname Bulldog, and it has stuck. And I have to laugh every time I hear Lasorda call Hershiser Bulldog. It's sort of like going up to Mr. Rogers and saying, we're going to change your personality, we're going to call you Ferocious Fred. I mean, it's just out of place, but it's worked.
I think what he wanted to do, and Hershiser back in '84, his first year, part-time relief, part starting, he was 11-8. He said he was too tentative. He would not throw the ball over the plate. He said, you know, let them know that you can think that you can get them out. And he's certainly done that the last few years.
2-1 pitch is hammered foul off to the left, and the count is 2-2.
Not only that, Orel Hershiser the fourth is Bulldog the first.
That's right.
Hey, what's in a name? Orel Hershiser the fourth. It's like naming a guy Bubba, or a guy named Bubba, to be the curator of the Louvre.
Yeah.
Bubba Ray, Billy Bob.
Still 2-2 the count. Leading 1-0, and he strikes Hernandez out on a pitch on the corner. And Keith says, what corner? Hollywood and Vine?
Well, known for his astute idea of the strike zone. Take a look for yourself. We can see. Pretty good pitch. Harry Wendelstag thought it was a pretty good pitch. Strike 3. Of course, if you're an ex-pitcher, you say great pitch, and if you're an ex-catcher, of course, you say the same thing. I guess if you're catching Hershiser, if you're a hitter, you want that pitch to be called a ball. You want to run the count to 3-2, and you know you're going to get a better pitch to hit.
Strawberry now takes a strike, and the count 0-1. Strawberry, will he win the MVP award? That's another thing we should bring up right now. The votes are in. The playoffs mean nothing as far as postseason honors are concerned. The ballots are all in, so what you do in the playoffs and series doesn't matter. MVP, Cy Young, Rookie of the Year, Manager of the Year. It's all done and over with right now, to be announced in November. But either Strawberry or Gibson, with the outside possibility of McReynolds, figures to win that award. Or maybe even Hershiser if they give it to a pitcher. 1-2, and there is McReynolds on deck. He is sort of the, shall we say, designer choice to win the award. He's real quiet. Doesn't toot his own horn, the quiet one from Arkansas. But the way he came on at the end, he's liable to pick up a few votes. Stubbs shovels to Hershiser. And Strawberry becomes out number 2, and McReynolds comes to the plate. Now a reminder again, tomorrow at 1 o'clock in the afternoon Eastern time, 10 in the morning West Coast, A's Red Sox from Fenway Park, Game 1. Gary Bender is there with Joe Morgan and Reggie Jackson. And then tomorrow, following the vice presidential debate at 10 o'clock Eastern time and 7 p.m. here on the coast, Mets Dodgers, and that's David Cohn working for New York, and Tim Belcher, the good-looking rookie for the Dodgers. Now McReynolds with 2 out, bases empty in the 4th inning. Curve for a strike. Here's a guy who really got cheated out of playing in the World Series in 1984 when he was a San Diego Padre because he was hurt in the playoffs. Broke a bone and had to watch the World Series.
I talked to him about that very thing before the game, and he said, you know, I win either way. And I said, why? He said, well, if we win it, we go to the World Series. If we lose, I go back to Arkansas.
Chamber of Commerce ought to turn that into a commercial in Little Rock. That's hit down the line, curling, and just foul. 1-2. And that's an easy call in the championship series because of the 6 umpires. Not that that was necessarily that difficult anyway, but Paul Runge was right there on top of it to make the call. 1-2.
Well, part of a scoreless streak, and maybe what Hershiser's going to have to do tonight is would shut out the Mets, is a little bit of luck. Ball was hit well enough to be a double, but it just curves foul. We've seen a couple of line drives caught tonight. Certainly not to denigrate his pitching side. In fact, he seems to getting a little bit better command of his pitches, a little bit better command of his curveball. Early on, they hit the ball pretty hard.
McReynolds breaks his bat on a bouncer to Hamilton, and down go the Mets in order in the 4th inning. At the end of 3 1/2, 1-0 Los Angeles. You didn't have to be a genius to figure out this was going to be a low-scoring series, or figures to be, and that's just the way we begin tonight.
I think tonight is going to be just like it's microcosm of the way the rest of the series is going to be.
I think so, too. I'll agree. I'll go along with that.
Well, you've got 2 pitching staffs that each wound up with a collective ERA of under 3. And they finished 1st and 2nd as you look down from the Goodyear Blimp Columbia. And the lights are taking full effect now at Dodger Stadium. Dusk in Southern California. And as we go to the bottom of the 4th inning, Dodgers on top 1-0. And John Shelby swings and misses. He'll be followed by Scioscia and Hamilton.
Well, I know there's one Dodger sitting over on the bench, and that's Tim Belcher, who'll pitch tomorrow night, that is rooting for a Dodger win tonight. A little bit easier to go out there when you're relaxed.
Well, I think the point you made at the top is well taken, Jim, in terms of the regular season. If the Dodgers lose tonight with Hershiser pitching, they've got to go back and say, man, that's 11 out of 12. But if they win, they totally forget about being 1-10.
Of course, on the other hand, you really do go back to 86. Mike Scott, the Cy Young Award winner, Hershiser this year as the possible Cy Young Award winner. You figure not to get a lot of runs against those guys if you're talking about the Mets. And they got to figure out, well, maybe we'll lose to Hershiser, but we better win 4 times before we have to face him 3 times in this series. That means that if they can win before they go 7, they got a good chance.
Shelby hits a fly ball to right field, and Strawberry gets underneath it. And to the Darrell chant makes the catch. 1 away. Gooden struck the side out in the 3rd inning. He has 4 in 3 1/3 as he gets set to face Scioscia here in the bottom of the 4th. But as most of you know who follow the game, graphically we can illustrate how his strikeout rate per 9 innings has decreased. And since his rookie year, hits per 9 innings have increased. In there for a strike and the count 0-1. And there it is again. And of course he had that spectacular season in 1985 after breaking in with a splash as a rookie, and everybody keeps expecting him to live up to that.
Well, that's like the barometer they're always going to judge him on. I mean, you go back to 24-4, 153 ERA. I mean, that was a classic year. Very close to what Gibson did when you caught him back in 1968 with a 112 ERA.
Down goes Scioscia, and Mike wants to know if it was a strike. And I think Harry Wendelstedt answered in the affirmative. Well, Harry was being nice to him. He said he would have called that a called strike.
Jim, you mentioned Bob Gibson, and it was Gibson's comment after that season. He said Dwight Gooden will never have another year like that, and that was a compliment. Everybody thought it was kind of a knock, but it was a compliment, because when you're 24-4 with a 1.53, I mean, how many times are you going to do that during a career?
I mean, you want to do it every year, but can it be done?
And it applies to hitters as well. I mean, we all know what's going to happen next year when the A's go to spring training. Everybody's going to wonder whether Canseco can join the 50-50 club. 2-2 pitch is grounded to the right side. Juggled, knocked down, picked up by Backman. No! Hamilton beats it out. Backman, angry with himself, will get an error to prolong the inning.
Looked like Wally was rather tentative. He waits back. You can afford to do that if you're a right side of the infielder. because you can usually recover in time to make the play, but the ball bounced too far away from Backman to recover, and Hamilton is safe at first.
So with 2 out, Alfredo Griffin comes to the plate. Griffin came up in the late 70s with Cleveland. Then he spent 6 seasons as the everyday shortstop at Toronto, 3 in Oakland, and here with the Dodgers now after the offseason trade, and this is the first postseason game of Griffin's career. 1,465 regular season games, and there's only one guy who's played more and hasn't been to postseason, as Griffin hits a ground ball to the right side and Backman forces him at second. And we'll have the answer for you when we come back in the 5th. After 4, it's 1-0 Dodgers. Back after this word from your local station.
Be there as the Lakers take the NBA World Championship. Relive the spectacular guaranteed championship with back-to-back, the official Los Angeles Lakers video yearbook, featuring all the highlights and exclusive behind-the-scenes action as the Lakers become the first team in 20 years to repeat as NBA champions. To get your copy of back-to-back, call 1-800-453-7300. That's 1-800-453-7300 for back-to-back.
Back in L.A., I swear Magic Johnson has been at every sports event in the country in the last month. I see him at a Michigan State game. He's at a Michigan game. He's at a summer basketball game. He's everywhere. He's at the Raider game the other day on the sideline. Magic, great sports fan, and he might as well enjoy himself because he's going to training camp here in about a week. Howard Johnson starts the 5th inning by hitting one to deep center field, but room for Shelby to make the catch. 1 away. What about Dave Johnson, the Mets manager? His status for next season still in doubt. That's been an ongoing story in New York all year, and I talked with him about it yesterday.
Do you feel you have to win the playoffs and or World Series, or was the division good enough?
Well, you know, we had a great year. We drew a lot of people, and the future is the strongest I've ever seen from the New York Mets. Anything can happen in a short series. You know, the fate of a manager can change one bad game or a bad week. But I feel that I'm going to be back. I really don't like to get into it. It's been a little uncomfortable for me all summer. But, you know, I feel we're going to win, and they want me back.
Davey Johnson talking about his status. I had prefaced that question yesterday by saying to him, he had told us in an interview which we had played earlier this season, that he felt he had to win to be invited back to manage this team. And of course, he is the first manager in National League history to win 90 or more games in his first 5 seasons. And I would have to think he will be invited back. Little squibber back to Hershiser, and Carter is out number 2. And that will bring up Backman. And yesterday, I know I had talked to Davey about what had happened in New York on Sunday. It didn't get a lot of play, but he was in the dugout, and they'd arranged it. Mets management and the coaching staff knew about it. They sent him to the mound to talk to Randy Myers in the 9th inning. It was a plan, because up on the message board, they put up that information about he being the first to win 90 in the National League, and he got a standing ovation at Shea, and he was very touched by it.
He'd be even more touched by a 3-year contract.
Yeah.
I'll tell you, the difference between re-sign and resign is a hyphen.
1-0 the count on Backman. Backman hits a fly ball to center field, and Shelby is there, and Hershiser has set down the last 7. At the end of 4.5, still 1-0 Dodgers. Back in Los Angeles, Al Michaels with Jim Palmer and Tim McCarver. Gooden, 61 pitches through 4. He allowed a run in the first, and that's been it. The only run of the game, and it's 1-0 Dodgers, with Hershiser leading off in the bottom of the 5th. I know I left you hanging with a question in the top of the 5th inning. We were talking about Alfredo Griffin having played in so many regular season games, more than a decade's worth, before he finally gets into postseason play, and there was just one other guy who had played in more. as Hershiser takes a strike. And if you said Buddy Bell, you're right. Buddy came up with Cleveland in 72 through 78, Texas from 79 through 85, Cincinnati the last 3 years, and now Houston, of course. Buddy Bell, that's amazing when you think about it. 17 years in the big leagues, over 2,300 games, never in postseason. 1-2 the count on Hershiser. Boy, it's funny the way things work out. And then there are guys who always seem to wind up in postseason no matter where they play. Guys like Tito Landrum.
Guys like Don Baylor.
And Howard Johnson again played with Detroit. Now his second postseason action with the Mets. Hershiser tries to bunt his way on with 2 strikes, and down he goes. And Gooden records strikeout number 6.
And I know the feeling. When you figure you can't hit a guy, you better try something else. That's why I bunted in a 70 All-Star game against Seaver. You see the fastball, you see the curveball. There you see it looks like another curveball. He's just trying to get on. About face. Let's go back to the dugout and rest.
So he sits down next to Marshall as Steve Sax stands in. Well, the difference in this game right now is exactly how the Dodgers are going to have to win this series, with speed and pitching. The only run of the game is a single by Sax. And we figured he'd be going, and he was on a 2-1 pitch, and he stole second. He went to third on a grounder, and he scored on Marshall's single. Hershiser has held the Mets in check, and the Dodgers lead 1-0. I mean, if you were going to do it out of a textbook, you'd say this is the way they'd have to do it. 1-2 pitch, got him, fastball. And Gooden now has 7 strikeouts in 4 2/3 innings. So 2 down, 5th inning. First baseman. Stubbs coming up. Boy, a big day on ABC Sports Saturday. Our college football presentations, regional action, Ohio State against Indiana, Washington against Arizona State. And those games are sandwiched in between the baseball playoffs, National Day and American Night. So a huge day Saturday here on ABC Sports. Stubbs has struck out twice. In there, 0-1. Well, they've given Franklin a lot of chances through the years, and he's back again on an everyday basis. Once they traded Guerrero, it opened up first base once more, and Stubbs hits a ground ball backhanded by Backman, and down he goes. 1-2-3 inning for Gooden. End of 5. Dodgers 1. Mets nothing. Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series, moving right along. Hershiser and Gooden locked up 1-0 LA as Gooden leads off. And there is Dwight's record during the regular season in his career, an astonishing 91-35 as he takes a strike, leading off here in the 6th. But in postseason play, a whole other story. 2 of those losses in the World Series in '86, the other in the playoffs.
Very deceptive too, because in the 1986 playoffs he lost 1-0 on the Glenn Davis home run to Mike Scott, and then he locked up with Nolan Ryan. First time he went over 9 innings, as a matter of fact.
He strikes out here, and again he's in a situation a la '86, pitching very well, but somebody's pitching a little bit better. 1 gone.
Of course, that's what you gear yourself up for when you pitch against an Orel Hershiser. You know that the possibility of a Steve Sax getting a leadoff base hit, you know he's most likely going to run. But sometimes you just can't keep the guys that you want off the bases, really not off them. And this guy is, I mean, a marvelous streak. This is a marvelous pitcher right there in Dwight Gooden. A tremendous admiration through what he went through last year, and it seems like he's got himself back on the right track.
Mookie Wilson hits a bouncer to short, and Alfredo Griffin throws him out. 2 down.
You know, Orel Hershiser says when they hit ground balls to Alfredo, I don't even look. He says, I know he's going to make the plays. And I'm sure if you went up to Alfredo and said, you like playing behind Orel Hershiser, he would say yes, because he pitches quickly. He's around the plate. I can be on my toes. He's not going into a lot of full counts. I don't believe he has one tonight yet. Good pitcher to play behind if you're a defensive infielder or outfielder.
Greg Jeffries at the plate. Jeffries is a kid who grew up in Northern California in San Mateo. It's about a 20-minute drive from Candlestick Park. He hated the Giants. He loved the Dodgers. He grew up as a Dodger fan. He told me yesterday his father and he used to fly down here as they take care of a beach ball in right field. They'd come down and watch the Dodgers. And he idolized Ron Say. And he said when he was in the 5th and 6th grade, he would turn in papers to his teachers and he would sign his name Greg Say Jeffries, C-E-Y. And so here he is coming to Dodger Stadium playing third for the Mets. And he grounds one by where Say used to play into left field for a base hit. So Jeffries with a single, 2 out here in the 6th inning. That's his second hit. 2 of the 4 hits off Hershiser, and Hernandez comes up.
The last time Jeffries made an out, it was a sinker low and away. He tried to pull it. He grounded back to Hershiser. He got an identical pitch. The sinker low and away, and he rifles it to left field.
Fast learner.
Yes, sir. It's funny. Jeffries growing up right down the road, as you said, from Candlestick, where Say Hay used to make some hay. Number
right.
24, Willie Mays.
Also where Keith Hernandez, very close proximity. Don't wear batting gloves. He's got batting gloves on now, but not at the plate.
And he rips one into center field for a base hit, and Jeffries, without hesitating, goes to third. So with 2 out, the Mets threaten here in the 6th inning. And it's the first time tonight, make it the second time tonight, they've gotten a man to third base. They stranded Carter there in the 3rd inning.
Right fielder, Darryl Strawberry.
No doubt in Jeffries' mind he was going all the way.
Well, with 2 outs, you have to make sure going to third base. But with Shelby going to his left, he's got too much to do to turn around and throw it to third base. So Jeffries goes into third uncontested.
So 2 on and 2 out, and Strawberry at the plate. Popped out, grounded out. And at first base with Hernandez, the runner there, Stubbs will take the liberty of playing a little bit behind him. Figuring that Keith is not going to test it with that hamstring, topped off by the fact with Strawberry at the plate, you're not going to open up first base anyway. High ball 1.
And that can make a big difference, because what Hershiser would like to do is just run that ball away from Strawberry, hopes that he tries to pull it, because Strawberry's great strength is out over the plate. So
yeah, it sure is, Jim.
Yeah, that's where he gets his leverage.
That's a danger area, that ball away, unless you're very fine.
Of course, again, it comes back to the classic situation. Is Hershiser going to be better than Strawberry? What he'd like to do is just nip that outside corner with the ball running away, get the left-hand hitter to try to pull it, and the result is usually a ground ball.
It's a very interesting confrontation right here.
Stays away, and it's grounded down to Stubbs. And Orel Hershiser still hasn't given up a run since August. 1-0 Dodgers in the middle of the 6th.
The Dodgers began the 1991 season in November of 1990. While Dodger Stadium lay empty for the winter, the front office pulled off a blockbuster move that brought Darryl Strawberry back home to Los Angeles.
Such a great organization, probably the finest organization in baseball. And I'm very pleased to be a part of this organization at this point in my career. And I'm really looking forward to some exciting things happening here in LA. It's so nice to be back home.
In a big prominent story in the Los Angeles Times this morning, headline Darryl as a Dodger. Ross Newhan of the Times talks about Strawberry. Darryl contending he'd like to play with the Dodgers after 1990, and he talked about it before the game.
Well, it's always a dream that, any kid, when you're growing up and, being in your own hometown, coming back, like I said, for the National League Championship to play, and then knowing that you might have an opportunity when your years are up with the organization that you're with. And if the opportunity is right and it's fitted for me, then you make the decisions then. But, you're not trying to make any decisions at this particular point.
Are you necessarily closing the door on the Mets in the far distant future?
No, I'm not at all. I've had a long relationship in New York, and it's been outstanding. I feel good about it. But there's been a lot of rough times too there. And you just say to yourself, when it comes to that time, are you ready to make a decision whether you're going to play here or you're going to play there? So I really haven't came to any point in my mind right now, but I'm still thinking, considering that LA would be one of my favorite places to play.
The Darryl Strawberry story, which is a bit of a cause celeb today, in for a strike, though others have poo-pooed it, saying, well, he's been talking like that for a while, and he did say that he had talked about it with Ross Newhand 3 or 4 weeks ago. And of course the story was prominently displayed today. And Tim, you've been traveling with the Mets all season. What about the timing of something like that? Does that have any effect on the team?
Well, I think I don't think it has any effect on the team, because I think the team understands Darryl now. I mean, think about the beginning of the season. The Esquire article came out, written by Mike Lupica, where Darryl eventually denied that he had said all those things back in January, and it went over the 1987 season. And the team as a whole, I think, it was slightly miffed as a group. And I don't really think. I think you're talking to Lee Mazzilli today was pretty poignant, and Lee kind of spoke for the club.
2-2 to Gibson is outside. I asked Lee about it before the game, and he's been around and he has seen it all. And he said, I read the article and I kept saying, well, he couldn't have said that. I read the next paragraph, he couldn't have said. Then he said, yeah, well, that's Darryl. I guess that's Darryl. We come to expect it, and it really wouldn't have an effect on a team, even with the timing on the eve of the League Championship Series.
No.
Gibson goes down on strikes. And Dwight Gooden doing a pretty good 1985 imitation tonight, with 8 strikeouts in 5 1/3 innings.
Well, what sets up this total freeze by Kirk Gibson is the way he got there. He threw him some curveballs early in the count. He's looking for the ball, can't pull the trigger. Right there, he wants to swing. Great pitch, outside corner, 90-plus fastball. Carter just throws it to the third baseman.
1 out, and Mike Marshall at the plate. 0-1. Just to follow up on that Strawberry thing for a second. He's talking about Eric Davis, and he, in their own words, getting together, which of course would be almost collusion in reverse if two guys said, hey, we're going to both go to one team, or attempt to do something like that. Fouled away, so somebody ought to remind Darryl of that in a hurry.
Of course, you can also imagine how he said it, kind of wistfully thinking that he'd like to be reunited with Eric Davis. And then, but that, you said Darryl's Darryl, and he is immature in some respects. He's matured as a player. Seems like most of his bats are quality, but he does say things that I'm sure he regrets. This was one of them.
Here's the 0-2 pitch to Marshall. Got him again. That's 9 strikeouts. Marshall gone twice on strikes, and it will bring up Shelby.
This does not look like the guys whose tune-up last week in Philadelphia was 5-inning pitch, 10 hits, and 7 runs.
The most earned runs he'd given up all season, but he wasn't making pitches like this.
No. In fact, Mel Stottlemyre, the pitching coach here in New York, who's done a fabulous job. Talk about emulating a guy. Mel, great pitcher, great hard worker. Talked about how poor that mound was in Philadelphia. They'd put it in after a football game. Very flat, almost throwing uphill. That's not the case here. There's Mel. 20-game winner 3 or 4 times. All-around pitcher.
Shelby with a typical Shelby-type swing on a breaking pitch, and the count 1-1. Gooden has 9 strikeouts, and he's right on the verge of a 10th, because Shelby struck out 128 times this year, had the highest rate in the National League. 1-2.
And if you're wondering why the fastball could freeze you, it's at 96 miles per hour on the last 2 strikeouts.
He has not given up a hit since the first inning. The Dodgers 2 opposite field singles. That's it. 2-2. There's David Cone, the 20-game winner, 20-3, to the mound tomorrow night against rookie Tim Belcher. 10 o'clock, 10 p.m. Eastern time. Half swing, down he goes. 10 strikeouts for Dwight Gooden after 6. Dodgers 1, Mets nothing. Back in Los Angeles after this word from your local station.
Now a full count, 3-2 on Kirk Gibson. Strike 3 called. A beautiful fastball by Dwight Gooden. His 8th strikeout of the evening. Now the hitter is Mike Marshall. Look out with him. The pitch, strike 3. Fastball to the outside corner. And Doc clinched the fist with that one. He wanted it and he got it. 9 strikeouts for Gooden. Swing and a miss. Struck him out. His 10th strikeout. And he fans the side for the 2nd time in the ballgame.
In Los Angeles, Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver. Game 1 of the National League Championship Series. Thus far, very much according to Hoyle. Dodgers 1, Mets nothing. 7th inning. McReynolds, Johnson, and Carter for New York. Kevin is 0 for 2. Struck out, grounded out. This is the kind of game. They only put overs and unders up on the board in Nevada for football, but if this was up on the board, I think the number might have been 1, which is the score right now. Hershiser and Gooden. 1 run. Popped up on a breaking pitch. Alfredo Griffin. 1 away. Johnson coming up.
Go back to the last time that Hershiser pitched against the Dodgers. He had a 1-0 lead going into the 8th inning. Excuse me, Hershiser pitched against the Mets. As you look at the mixture, we just saw a great curveball 1-0 where McReynolds no doubt was looking for a fastball. But you go back to that loss. The only time he's faced him this year, they had a 1-0 lead going in the 8th inning. The Mets scored 2 runs to beat him.
Mike Marshall dropped a ball in right field, and you saw the 19 curveballs. It's not that he's thrown 19. It's when he's thrown them behind in the count. He got the out with Strawberry on the 2-1 curve, and there with the count 1 ball and no strikes to McReynolds, he comes back for the curveball.
Another easy grounder. Sacks. 2 down in the 7th inning, and Gary Carter comes to the plate.
And he said in this streak, of course we're talking about the scoreless inning scheme, he said very few changeups. So he's basically gone with his strengths, which is what all pitchers want to do. If you got a good curveball, you got a good sinker, stay with him. He would hate to get either a tie situation or lose a ball game on his 3rd pitch.
And again, that streak truly just incredibly remarkable. And it's one of those things that, as we mentioned during our pregame show, it really sneaks up on a lot of people. And so much going on in sports as it's taking place, you tend to forget about it. And then the next thing you know is he starts Carter with a curve for a strike. He eclipses Drysdale's mark. And if you don't follow baseball that closely, I'm not sure you can really appreciate it. That is truly one of the records a lot of people who know a lot about this game thought could not be approached. 0-2. There it is. Drysdale did it in '68. Walter Johnson, and there were some relief appearances there back in 1913. Gibson and Hubble, the top 5.
Not only that, to get it, he had to have the cooperation of his teammates offensively not to score during a 9-inning game. It took him 10 innings to break the record.
And he needed an umpire's decision as well to keep it going, as did Drysdale. 0-2 the count. 1-2. Very odd thing with Harry Wendelstadt, the plate umpire tonight. He was the man who kept Drysdale's streak alive with a call back in '68. Breaking pitch, half swing, yes! One up by McSherry for strike 3. Shaking his head, he becomes strikeout victim number 5. 1-0 Dodgers.
IBM presents You Make the Call. With runners on 1st and 2nd and 2 outs, a batter hits a squibber back to the pitcher. He is then hit by the throw while running out of the baseline. Can the runner from 2nd score? You make the call. Anytime a batter runs out of the baseline and is hit by a thrown ball, he's out and the ball is dead. In this case, it's out number 3. If you said so, you made the right call.
Orel Hershiser, 7 shutout innings thus far, 1-0. He rings up Gary Carter on an appeal to end the top of the 7th.
Well, doesn't that make you be reminiscent of the '86 playoffs, the one you did, Timmy, with Mike Scott out there, totally baffling Carter? Dropped down. Looked like he came from something we'll see tomorrow night with Dave Cohn from Laredo with a curveball.
Mike Scioscia at the plate. Scioscia, Hamilton, and Griffin in the bottom of the 7th inning. Dodgers on top 1-0. We were talking about the irony of Harry Wendelstedt being back of the plate. It's an amazing double quinella here tonight. You've got the 2 umpires who perpetuated the 2 pitchers' streaks, and everybody's in the park as Scioscia grounds one down the right field line into the corner. Fielded by Strawberry, and Scioscia on his way to second, in with a double. A leadoff double here in the 7th inning for the Dodger catcher. Their first hit since the 1st inning.
Scioscia not having what you'd call an off year, but it's maybe a little disappointing for him. Just rifles one down, not a pull hitter. Guy hits the ball back up the middle. You see Rick Dempsey, cheerleader for years with the Orioles, acquired by the Dodgers. Very happy with the result.
Mike not a fast runner, but slowed even further because of his left heel. As a matter of fact, he's wearing a high top shoe on his left foot with a hole in the back of it to give that Achilles tendon some breathing room. We can look for a bunt here.
You can look for a bunt here, and if he's successful, you can look for another bunt, perhaps with Griffin on deck.
Got to be a better bunt with Scioscia on second base.
Breaking ball. Hamilton takes it for a strike, and the count 0-1. Close-up look there at that specially constructed shoe. Scioscia to his lead at second. Nobody out. This will do the job. He swings away and grounds it to Hernandez, and it advances Scioscia. So that's as good as a bunt. Though you don't get a sacrifice. It's a time at bat for Hamilton. 1 down. And now, very contrary to the way Davey Johnson plays, Tommy Lasorda loves to squeeze.
Shortstop, Alfredo Griffin. And it doesn't matter about the speed of the runner at third base. That has nothing to do with it. In effect, it's the same mental thing as a hit and run. Eddie Stanky, who used to be the Cardinal farm director, used to talk about if you're the runner at third base, in order to keep from breaking too soon, when the pitcher delivers the ball, take 1 step back toward third and then break for home. It's up to the hitter to get the bunt down if the squeeze is on. The jump of the runner at third has nothing to do with it. Excuse me, Jim.
Oh, that's all right. I'm just going to say that if you're a pitcher and you see him break too early, you pitch out.
Strike, 0-1. High heat, 0-2.
Of course, the one thing about Dwight Gooden, we saw that graph earlier, is he does have the capabilities of striking guys out. We've seen 10 already tonight. Griffin trying to chase the high fastball, looking maybe for a fly ball, but that's a tough pitch to get on top of.
Scioscia at third. Joey Amalfitano is the coach. 1 out in the 7th. 1-0 Dodgers. 1-2. Slapped foul. Still a ball and 2 strikes.
And when you're on the mound in this situation, you're trailing 1-0. You get the pitcher coming up next. You know he's going to be hitting, mainly because they're not taking him out of the game. They're not going to pinch hit. You're thinking strike out. You're going to make your pitch. Even if you walk Griffin, you still have the pitcher coming up, which if you get him out, that's the 2nd out, and then you work for sacks. So I think Gooden's really going to try to make the perfect pitch here. Whether he'll be able to do it or not is another case.
It looks to me like he's going to try to stay up to get Griffin to swing through that high fastball and pop it up.
Of course, we go back to May. Griffin went on the DL, got hit by a good and high fastball.
Right.
A little bit of intimidation here.
Hit into right field, base hit over the drawn-in infield. 2-0. Stayed up, and Griffin got it up over Backman.
a terrific job of hitting by Alfredo Griffin. As you look at a guy with not only a catcher's mentality, but a terrific guy, Roy Campanella.
A Dodger catcher of the past looking on as a Dodger catcher of the present makes it 2-0 scoring.
He got the ball up, but he didn't get it in. And, of course, that's where he would have liked to have got it. The ball ran over the middle of the plate. Griffin coming into this game only 199, a little bit better from the left side. It's the hand that was really the side it doesn't affect by the broken hand. Fights it off.
Yeah, he didn't have, I mean, a pitcher and a catcher's job, Jim, as you and I both know, is to keep the ball off the fat part of the bat. Gooden did that. Griffin just a good piece of hitting.
Now Hershiser up there to bunt. Griffin at first base with 1 out.
When a pitcher gets up there to bunt too quickly like that, you might think that he's thinking about swinging the bat and not bunting to draw the infielders in. You don't know what Hershiser's going to do. He handles the bat very, very well.
Strike with Griffin going. Throw in time. So on a 2-0 pitch, they send Griffin. The pitch is a strike taken by Hershiser, and Carter guns him down 2-6.
Tell you, it looked to me like the tag came down on the foot of Griffin when he was in at second base. He looks to see what Hershiser's going to do. Nope, they had him. Good call. Looked like he slid and stopped, didn't he, Jim?
The next pitch is in for a strike, and the count 2-2. So 2 out. Base is empty. Low ball 3. 3-2. And that's grounded to short. Johnson throws out Hershiser. Gooden escapes further damage, but the Dodgers get a big insurance run on 2 hits. And at the end of 7, Dodgers 2, Mets nothing.
1-1 pitch line down the right field line. Hernandez dove it, couldn't get it, rolls into the corner. Fair ball. Going down to second base. Socha. Strawberry's throw not in time. A leadoff double. Here's the 1-2 pitch. Swung on line drive, base hit right field. He got the run in. Alfredo Griffin. Payback can be tough. He just paid Doc Gooden back. It is a 2-0 Dodger lead.
The term slide means exactly that when you go into your slide, you're supposed to continue. This is more of a stop than a slide. Watch him stop. See, there's no slide there, and that allows Johnson to make the tag.
So they took care of Griffin, and then Hershiser bounced out. 2-0 Dodgers as we go to the 8th inning. Orel Hershiser, who has not been scored on since August 30th, facing Backman, and then the Mets have to go to the bench to hit for Gooden, followed by Wilson. Strike. We mentioned before, we were talking about Wendelstedt and the amazing double Quinella here tonight. Paul Runge is the right field umpire. There he is, and he is a man who at Candlestick Park during Hershiser's streak made a call on Brett Butler for sliding out of the base path that cost the Giants a run and helped to prolong Hershiser's streak. And, of course, the other part of that double Quinella is Don Drysdale himself, a Dodger broadcaster, and there he is. So you've got the 2 pitchers 20 years apart who both had incredible streaks perpetuated by umpires' calls and the 2 umpires working the game tonight. Amazing. Got it. 6 strikeouts. 1 out in the 8th inning, and now Len Dykstra comes up to bat for Dwight Gooden.
Looks like a backdoor slider. In other words, you bring your curveball out over the plate and you try to catch the outside corner to an opposite hitter from what Hershiser throw, right to left-hander.
You think it was by design, Jim? A lot of times I know you squeeze the ball a little tighter. You're trying to throw the good curve. You throw a slop curve, it backs up, and that fools the hitter as much as the good one does.
And that definitely did. That's where Wally didn't want that pitch to be a strike, but it was.
Because it was not in a predictable location. And neither is Len Dykstra because he's not starting tonight.
Mookie Wilson has won that job, at least for the past few weeks he's won it. And Dykstra's stewing on the bench and relegated to pinch hitting roles, and Randy Myers is throwing in the bullpen. He'll come in the bottom of the 8th inning. No balls, 1 strike on Dykstra. Orel Hershiser. As a kid, he played hockey. He might be the second most famous hockey player in Los Angeles right now. We'll give Gretzky #1 for the moment. And Hershiser, who played for a junior team for the Philadelphia Flyers as a youth. 2-1 the count.
Here you've got, you saw Magic Johnson earlier. The Lakers won it this year. The Dodgers could win everything. The Rams are 4-1. Wayne Gretzky might be playing on the only loser in L.A.
Yep.
After all the Stanley Cups he played on.
UCLA and SC, tremendous college football teams. It's amazing how cities really get into sports grooves. 3-1 the count. And Dykstra walks, and that's news. That's the first walk given up by Hershiser tonight.
You know, the interesting thing about the lineup that Davy Johnson put out there is that this is his offensive lineup. And so far they've been blanked. When we talk about that, that means Howard Johnson plays shortstop, Kevin Elster. Of course, as Timmy said, Hershiser trying to throw the ball right down the middle. He knows that Dykstra can't beat him. And I'm sure Tommy Lasorda wasn't very happy with that really pitch, not the pitch selection, because he threw the fastball, as you said, he just couldn't get it over.
Mookie Wilson is 1 for 3 tonight. Hit .296 during the regular season. It's a grounder, steered by Griffin. Double play. After 7.5, the Dodgers and Lasorda on top 2-0.
I got dirty an awful lot when I was little. What am I doing here? You know this.
You're playing baseball.
Yeah, that's right. It came natural to get dirty. Johnson's baby shampoo has been great for my hair all through my life. It's strong. It makes my hair look clean. It makes my hair feel clean, and it's gentle. Look at this kid's hair. I think it looks good.
Johnson's baby shampoo, now also with conditioners for extra control.
I shower 4 or 5 times a day. It's never made me cry.
Johnson's, for the life of your hair.
Hershiser towels off after taking care of the Mets in the top of the 8th.
Well, he walks Dykstra, but then he makes the great pitch to sinker away. As I said, he doesn't even have to worry about when the ball's hit to Griffin. He turns 2, and you're on the bench. Think Tommy's happy? Just what I told you to do. Throw that sinker away and throw those grounders.
And back to what we said at the beginning, a far more important game tonight for the Dodgers to win than the Mets. The Mets go back and say, okay, we lose to Hershiser. We're down 1-0. It's still a long enough series. We've beaten these guys 10 out of 11 in the regular season, but had the Dodgers gone down to defeat, a whole other story. 2-0 LA. Bottom of the 8th inning as Sachs starts with a grounder to short. Corralled by Johnson. 1 away. Randy Myers is the new pitcher. Len Dykstra stays in the game. There's Myers. He'll hit in Mookie Wilson's spot. Terrific year with a 1.72 ERA. And Dykstra stays in the game. Lenny hits in the number 9 spot with Gooden out of the game. So Sachs taken care of for the first out here in the 8th. And batting for Stubbs with the lefty now on the mound will be Tracy Woodson, who can play third or first. One of the Dodgers stuntmen. That's what the fellas on the bench are known as.
Yeah, they said that stuntmen are anonymous when they make movies. That's what we are, but we certainly did have a great part in getting him here to the playoffs.
Strike, 0-1.
This is a smart move. When you look at the 2 guys who we're most likely going to see throughout this playoff series, as regular first baseman, you're looking at Mickey Hatcher and Franklin Stubbs, but Woodson, a much better defensive first baseman than Hatcher. So he's in there for his offense now and defense in the bottom of the 9th, or excuse me, the top of the 9th.
Hernandez down the line, and he makes the catch in foul territory for the second out. When the Mets come up in the top of the 9th inning now, it'll be Jeffries, Hernandez, and Strawberry. So they're very much where they'd like to be, 2, 3, and 4 in the order. Dave Johnson, who guided this team to the World Series title in 1986, finishing his 5th year. And again, over 90 games once more, this time an even 100.
The only National League manager to ever do that, win over 90 or more games his first 5 years. The American League manager to do it was Al Lopez. He did it back in the early 50s during the 154-game schedule, which was probably even a greater achievement back then.
Two guys from Florida, Johnson and Lopez. Gibson tries to bunt his way on in the count. 0-1, hamstring problem and all. Still trying to bunt for a base hit.
I think that's a bad play. I mean, you can pop the ball out of the ballpark. Gibson has more home runs against left-handed pitching than he does against right-handed pitching. 2 out, nobody on. He's trying to bunt his way on. Let's leave it up to the next guy.
And you also may aggravate your hamstring.
Yeah. I think that's a bad play.
Of course, it also says something about Randy Meyer's ability. 95-mile-per-hour fastball and a great slider.
Well, that's true, but I mean, by
I understand what you're saying. I agree with you.
You don't want to act, not that Kurt is the type of give-up player by any means, but I just think it's a bad technical play to be bunting with 2 out, nobody on. If you pop 1 out, you lengthen the lead.
And he loops that one in foul territory toward the dugout. Here comes Jeffries. Look out into the Dodger dugout. He makes the catch and is cradled by Woodson. And the last time we saw that, George Brett was sliding into the dugout in St. Louis in the 1985 World Series, and he's fine. So a very anxious moment, but another look right now at Jeffries. What a catch.
You notice the Dodgers aren't helping him at all, because if they go up to try to help him and he drops the ball, then Gibson's out. Gibson's out anyway because Greg holds on to the ball.
2-0 as we go to the 9th.
And Pendleton pops it up in foul ground. Brett has to charge hard toward the dugout. Slides, goes into the dugout. Did he make the catch? No, he didn't. And George Brett in the worst possible ballpark to go into the dugout, because the steps are narrow and it's very steep.
Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver, 9th inning of game 1, 2-0 Los Angeles. And Jeffries to lead off for the Mets, taking outside. That's the 91st pitch thrown by Hershiser. This is almost a dreamlike game for Lasorda and the Dodgers to this point. On the verge of a victory and a pretty low pitch count, but Jeffries whacks it into center field for a base hit. And we say a dreamlike thing for Lasorda to this point, because what he'd like to do is bring Hershiser back on 3 days rest Saturday. But now he's got another thing to worry about, namely the ball game. Leadoff man on 3 hits for Jeffries tonight.
That ball rifled by him, and how about that? A rookie's first game. He probably feels like Steve Sachs back in 1981. Played in the World Series and the playoffs, and then was Rookie of the Year in '82. The outfielders being reminded now to throw the ball to second base as the Mets have their rally caps on. They need it.
And here's Hernandez, and you can see with Jeffries at first base, Woodson, who is the new first baseman for the Dodgers, can take the liberty of playing behind him. The tying run at the plate, and he's going to go and exploit it, and it's hit down to Woodson, who makes the play at first base. So he was playing behind him, and Jeffries figured, why not go to second?
Jeffries is off the bag, Al. Pardon me. He thought it was a line drive. He wanders off the bag.
For the moment, he's a lucky guy right now.
Wow.
Well, they're lucky in a couple of respects. That's a double play ball if he's not going, but then again, he almost gets himself out. Right now, he needs to pick up one of the coaches. They're going to give him some help. Alfredo's not going to do it.
Yeah, he probably thinks it's a line drive now. Alfredo is waving, and now he's miffed that the throw wasn't made in time.
I'll tell you what, he'll learn a lesson, and he didn't get burned by doing it. Next time you pick up a coach.
You don't ask the opposing, you don't ask the opposing players. They rarely tell the truth.
Oh, yeah.
Especially if they're from the Dominican Republic. And you don't speak the same. I mean, Alfredo does speak English, but not in that case.
He thought for the moment he was doubled off at first base on a line drive. So 1 out. Here's Strawberry. 1-0 the count.
Boy, this is a tough situation for Hershiser because I think he realizes, and Jeffries is a good example, when he gets the ball in the middle of the plate, doesn't make the good pitches, the ball gets hit hard. We've seen that numerous occasions. When he makes good pitches, he can get guys out. But also, this is the tying run at home plate here. Not the winning run, but the tying run. A guy that hit 39 home runs. You want to make great pitches, but can he do it?
He threw breaking balls behind in the count his last at bat. We'll see if he does it again.
The 1-0 pitch is a fastball for a strike. 1-1.
Of course, if you're a pitcher, you always know who's on deck. If you take a look at Jamie Hershiser, Orel's wife, but if you're a pitcher, you know who's on deck. Next guy just hit 29 home runs with 99 RBIs. So you don't pitch around Strawberry in this case.
McReynolds waiting next. Jeffries at second with 1 out of the 9th inning.
Last time up, Darrell did get Hershiser in a really hitter situation, but swung at a 2-1 curveball.
Low, 2-1.
A guy that's now pitched, what, 68 in the third straight scoreless innings, or excuse me, 66 in his third. 67, pardon me. That's why I can't add.
2-2. The Darryl chant mocking version reverberates through Dodger Stadium with the count 2-2.
Mets bench literally trying to turn the game around.
And Lasorda ready to reach for the antacid.
Right, this could be the series of the dueling antacid managers.
Right. And these guys won division titles. What about the other guys? 2-2 on Strawberry. Sport fouls it off.
You know, we talked many times about what counts do to a pitcher's psyche. You don't want to go 3-2. 2-2 is a lot better count because if you do miss, you still have an option. 3-2, you feel like with the situation of the tying run at home plate, the winning run on deck, maybe you have to throw a strike. That's not a good idea when you guys hit 39 home runs. You'd like to get Strawberry out, as you said, out of the strike zone.
Lined into right center for a base hit. That will score a run. The Dodger outfield very deep, and Strawberry will take advantage by sliding into second with a double. So Jeffries comes in to score to make it 2-1, and the tying run is now at second base. The Dodger infield or outfield backed up with Strawberry at the plate, and as Shelby surrounded it, Strawberry is able to take the extra base.
I'll tell you, in fairness to the Dodger outfielders, you're playing back to prevent the double, but because they were back, that caused the double. Because Shelby had to range too far to his left, and once Strawberry saw that momentary bobble, boom, he's into second base. Not even close.
And now, with a tying run at second, the Dodgers sending Perinoski to the mound. They're also going to put Jose Gonzalez in the game in left field in what could be a double switch, with McReynolds coming up. Again, the ball bobbled, and Hershiser's going to come out of the game, and the ovation for Orel. McReynolds coming up to the bullpen for right-hander Jay Howell. As the Mets score here in the ninth, still only one out as Howell comes in, 2-1 Dodgers.
When lunch and a day at the park are too much for Tommy Lasorda, he reaches for Rolaids. Nothing works better for acid indigestion. And why should heartburn take the fun out of the game? Relief. You know how to spell it.
Hershiser masterful tonight, but turns it over now to Jay Howell in his first year with the Dodgers. Here's the inside pitch from Mike Schmidt.
For me, Jay Howell might be the toughest right-handed closer in the league. And it's because he's what we call effectively wild. He could come in and throw the ball anywhere at any time and then paint the outside corner on you 2 or 3 pitches in a row and strike you out. His favorite pitch is his hard curve, but what he must do is come into the game and establish that he can throw strikes with that 90+ mile-an-hour fastball so that he can go to that curveball and strike the hitter out. Jay's a good fielder. One thing you want to watch, though, is he doesn't hold runners on that well. He's got a big kick going to home plate. That could work to his disadvantage. He's going to be easy to steal on.
And he has Darryl Strawberry as the tying run at second base. It wouldn't figure that Strawberry would try to steal third, but you never know.
But he can. I mean, he has 29 steals on the year, but I don't think he's a great base runner, but he has great speed.
It's a good time to steal third. With 1 out, you get on third base and score on something other than a hit.
Of course, if you get thrown out, it's the story of the game. Pitches outside. Hershiser yields his first run since the 30th of August. Meanwhile, Jay Howell has not allowed a hit since the 29th of August. There's Jose Gonzalez in left field on the double switch. But Howell, in his last 7 appearances through the month of September, did not give up a hit. And McReynolds fouls it off to the right out of play. 1-1. And the Dodgers during the offseason, their first priority, get somebody to come out of the bullpen to close it out. And they got 2 guys. They got Orozco, who, as it turns out now, is more of a left-handed specialist, and Howell, who is the true closer.
And that he is. After elbow surgery, there was some doubt, but he's come back. 70 strikeouts in 65 innings, so he is overpowering.
Sort of barking at Wendelstedt wanted that pitch. And Hershiser can just sit and wait.
So we said McReynolds, in a great year, 288, 29 home runs, 99 RBIs. Howell, the type of guy that can throw the ball in his pal out over the plate and still get him out.
In the dirt, 3-1.
Good play by Scioscia. On the breaking ball, you're anticipating it being in the dirt, so you can easily get your body in front of it. Never subscribe to that theory you can get your body in front of a fastball because it's up there too quickly. Good play by Scioscia.
3-1 to McReynolds. Ball 4. Tying run and go-ahead run on base. And now Howard Johnson comes up.
Shortstop, Howard Johnson.
And it's fastball pitcher against fastball hitter here.
Not only that, Howard Johnson batting 182 from the right side and 250 from the left side. There again, we get back to the better pitcher is Jay Howell. Tommy Lasorda playing the hot hand regardless of which way Johnson has his power.
Because the point is well taken here. If Orozco was a true closer in the sense that Howell is right now, you'd bring in Orozco and turn Johnson around right-handed. But he entrusts Howell with the game with 1 out and 2 on in the 9th inning. And he starts him with a breaking pitch. 5-1.
Of course, the Mets are a team in postseason play. They've gone in the 9th inning trailing 13 times. They've come back and won those games 4 out of those 13 times, which doesn't seem much. I mean, it's like 30% of the time. But the rest of the percentage is down under like 10%.
It says a lot when you compare them to the Dodgers, I'll tell you that.
Off speed for a strike, 1-1.
In the history of postseason play, the Dodgers have come back when they were trailing in the 8th inning 1 time in 61 games. So the Mets are 4-9. The Dodgers are 1-60.
1 ball and 1 strike. Ran it in on him. He's thrown him 3 off-speed pitches. Throws him a breaking ball here on the hands, and it's 1-2.
Well, scouting is such an important part. I mean, you play against this team, maybe not as important as it is during the World Series, but it's obvious that Jay Howell would like to get Howard Johnson out with a curveball or the breaking ball.
I have never thought about this, but Jay Howell looks like Steve Howe. He looks like a right-handed Steve Howe.
And since the days of Steve Howe, the Dodgers have searched and searched for somebody to close out ball games. So just add a pair of L's, turn them around from the right side, and the 1-2 pitch is another breaking ball, and Johnson just gets a piece of it.
Well, that's 4 in a row. If you look at 4 breaking balls in a row, now that's great. This is his weakness. You see from that graphic, he's a good 9th inning hitter. Most of them probably came on either hanging breaking balls. This ball is about belt high. Now you throw a guy 4 in a row and make a mistake, the chances of him hitting it are a lot greater. But Howell's strength is high, good hard fastball and a good sharp breaking curveball. Usually don't hang a curveball like that and get away with it. The tighter the spin, the better chance of doing it.
So a fastball pitcher against a fastball hitter, and he never throws a fastball.
Well, Mike Schmidt hit the nail on the head. Look where his head is on this curveball. Now he's seen this is the 5th in a row. Can't keep that shoulder in. Can't just, and that's what it all is.
He can, though.
Yeah, for obvious reasons.
So now Carter comes to the plate. The Mets with the tying and go-ahead runs at first and second, and both are great base runners. Strawberry with his great speed at second, and McReynolds, who stole 21 bases this season without being caught, is at first. And Davey Johnson looks on as Carter gets ready to come to the plate after Socha confers with Howell.
You could understand why the outfield was deep with Strawberry hitting. I can't understand why the outfield is this deep with Gary Carter hitting. They're playing deep because they're defending against the Gary Carter of 5 years ago and his reputation, not this year.
Curve again, 0-1. The hook again.
7 in a row. What did Mike say? He's got to come in and establish his curveball. I think he has.
Line to center field, and with the outfield deep, Shelby can't make the catch as Strawberry comes in to score, and McReynolds is being waved in the throw to Socha. Socha blocks the plate, but without the ball, and McReynolds is saved. And with the Dodger outfield deep for Carter, it costs him, as Shelby just falls short of coming up with it.
Second baseman.
3-2 Mets.
I'll tell you, when a pitcher and a catcher conspire to keep the good part off the good part of the bat off the ball, it doesn't do any good if your outfielders don't cooperate. Watch this collision between Kevin McReynolds and Mike Socha. Man, that's a big league collision right there.
Socha's great strength is blocking the plate, but they've gotten so pansy about protecting middle infielders. I just can't believe that you can allow a catcher to stand up the line like that without the ball.
Backman swinging and missing. Here's Johnson's reaction, and again, Tim pointed it out before the play. The outfield was playing Carter's reputation, not the present-day Carter. 2-2 the count. And it's fouled at the plate. Now the Dodgers, down by a run, and looking ahead to the bottom of the 9th inning, have Marshall, Shelby, and Socha due up. And a breaking pitch is hit down to Sachs. And the inning is over, but the Mets get 3. And at the end of 8.5, it's the Mets 3 and the Dodgers 2.
Greg Jeffries, 2 hits in 3 times at bat. He has 2 of the 5 allowed by Hershiser. Now the pitch on the way. Line drive base hit to center field. Jeffries has his 3rd hit of the ball game. Now the tying run comes to bat. Fernandez taking his time getting in. Keith has done well over the years against Orel Hershiser. Now the tall, lanky right-hander delivers. Jeffries running. Ground ball hit down to first. Fielded by Woodson. That retires Hernandez. Mets were playing hit and run. Keith hit the ball hard. A ground ball right at the first baseman Woodson. So Jeffries is on second. 1 man down. Darryl Strawberry is coming up. Now the pitch. And it's a line drive base hit. Going into right center field. Jeffries around third is scoring. Strawberry going to second. The throw, safe. A double for Darryl Strawberry. The Mets are on the board. It is a 2-1 ball game. McReynolds is coming up. And Hershiser has finally given up a run. Jay Howell, a veteran right-hander, a hard thrower. Brought in now by Tommy Lasorda to try and save the game for the Dodgers. 3-1 pitch. Inside ball 4. McReynolds is on with a walk. A good power hitter and a fastball hitter. Howard Johnson coming up. Now the pitch. Struck him out, swinging. Breaking ball by Jay Howell. He fanned Howard Johnson. It's up to Gary Carter. Line drive looped into short center field. Coming quickly, Shelby diving. Can't get it. Base hit. A run is scored. Rounding third, trying to score. Here's the throw coming to the plate. A collision at the plate. The run is in. Mets have the lead. Mets have the lead. Kevin McReynolds had to charge headlong into Mike Socha, who was blocking the plate. He did not have the ball. He was waiting on the ball, blocked the plate. He was crashed into by McReynolds. The ball then flew loose. 2-run score. The Mets are on top, 3-2.
So the Mets on top by a score of 3-2, down to their last strike, and then this off Carter's bat.
Well, the tying and winning or go-ahead run. John Shelby with a great effort out center field, but here where he makes a mistake, he hesitates. Now you'll see the throw. Socha up the line, blocking the plate without the ball, which is one of his strengths, as I said. But Kevin McReynolds, I'll tell you what, we got linebacker versus linebacker.
Oh, man.
You don't get in his way, yes.
And Carter's reaction in the dugout.
When a catcher's in the baseline like that, that's the only thing a runner can do. You can't slide out of the baseline. If you notice, Socha was straddling the line, and McReynolds' only alternative was to ram right into him, and that's what he did.
And so the Mets with 3, and now the Dodgers with Marshall, Shelby, and Socha due up against Myers in the bottom of the 9th inning. And the Mets make a change. They move Kevin Elster in at shortstop. And there he is, taking over for Howard Johnson, and he's right into the game, catching a line drive for the out. 1 pitch and 1 out in the 9th inning. And now John Shelby coming up.
Well, Davey Johnson with his defensive alignment. This is the lineup he will most likely use with Ron Darling pitches on Friday. We talked about it earlier. And I mean, what you said about the Dodgers in 61 postseason play have only come back 1 time. That shows you what they've done. This would be the 5th time, so they're 50 percentile. And they hold on to win.
That 1 time was one of the most famous games in baseball history when Cookie Lavagitto not only won the game in the '47 World Series, but broke up Bill Bevan's no-hit bid. And that was the one. It was a pretty good one. And he grounds it down to second, and Backman will throw him out. And Dempsey will come up to bat for Scioscia.
I'll tell you, Randy Myers, in going over to first base, almost ran into Hernandez. Hernandez didn't realize how close he was. It shocked Keith. The three, the runner, Myers, and Hernandez, almost converge, and Keith turns around and says, "What are you doing over here?"
Well, something we pointed out many times during the Monday night games is how important Keith Hernandez is, and when he was out for what, 6-7 weeks with a hamstring pull, they missed that. And he's like having a pitching coach in your infield. What should I throw? I mean, here's a guy that used to won a batting championship, MVP.
Rick Dempsey now swinging and missing in the count 0-1. So there is the MVP of the 1983 World Series, playing with Baltimore against Philadelphia, fighting for a backup job. In the spring, he won it, and he, in essence, has been platooned with Scioscia. And he bats for Mike here. And this game, and as the ninth inning started, I said this was a dream for Tom Lasorda. 2-0 lead. Hershiser in the 90s in pitching, bring him back on 3 days, and that dream has now gone to a terrible nightmare with 2 out of the 9th inning. And a fly ball to shallow right field, and Backman backs up and gives the Mets a 1-0 lead in the series. The Mets come up with 3 in the ninth after they were down to their last strike and shocked the Dodgers. And now they don't have to worry about Hershiser until at least Saturday. Mets win it by a score of 3-2, and we'll be back in a moment.
1-1 delivery. Popped the ball up. The game should be over. Wally Backman under it in right field waiting. The Mets have won it.
Davey Johnson, obviously a most happy man as the Mets leave the field, a strike away from defeat, and that says it all for the New York Mets, who win it by a score of 3-2. We have Gary Carter with us. Gary, congratulations. Tell me not only about the significance of winning the first game of a playoff series, but winning it in this fashion. What does it mean?
Well, that's got to be the biggest lift in the world, Al, and to be able to score that 1 run off Hershiser in that top of the 9th, and then to be able to beat Jay Howell, I tell you, that was a big, big lift for all of us, and that's got to be the momentum for us.
Gary, he threw 7 straight curveballs, 5 to Johnson, 2 to you. The 8th pitch you hit into center field. Is that what you expected?
I was looking for it, Al. I wasn't looking for anything else, but I looked bad on the 2nd pitch that he threw to me, and all I was trying to do was make contact. I wasn't trying to overswing or anything. I was just trying to stay on the ball. Fortunately, I was able to make contact, and John Shelby made an outstanding play on it, and then just fortunately it finally found a hole and snuck in there.
Tim had mentioned that the Dodger outfield was playing a little bit deeper than they should have. Is that something that you are aware of as you're at the plate?
Well, yes. I mean, I guess at times I am a home run threat, but in this particular instance, again, when you have only 2 strikes, you know, I'm just trying to make contact. I'm not trying to hit the ball out of the ballpark.
Gary, congratulations. We'll see you tomorrow.
All right, Al. God bless you. Thank you.
Okay.
All right.
Gary Carter, and there it is again with 2 strikes and 2 out and 2 on in the 9th inning, and Shelby just coming up short, and then Scioscia blocking the plate, but McReynolds barreling in, touching home plate for the 3rd run, and the happy Carter, tonight's hero. Myers wins it. Howell loses it. Final score 3-2. Al Michaels, Jim Palmer, Tim McCarver. And that's the story from Dodger Stadium in Los Angeles.